Hollywood loves a rebel until she becomes too much to handle. For every leading lady who played by the rules, there were a few who tore up the script, set fire to the set, and dared anyone to stop them. From on-set tantrums to feuds that turned into full-blown wars, these women didn't just break the rules, they rewrote them in red lipstick and bad decisions. Welcome to Hollywood's Bad Girls Club. Miriam Hopkins. She was the kind of actress who could light up the screen, but she was also one of those people who could drive everyone around her absolutely insane. Now, don't get me wrong, she had talent, no doubt about that, but she also had a personality that made directors want to pull their hair out and co-stars pray for patience. When she took on roles, she did more than just acting. She dominated. The problem was, she was also a dominating person, even off-screen. Whenever she didn't get her way, she would pull your ear out with whining and complaining. She would tell everyone within a 10-mile radius, and if you had the misfortune of crossing her path and she had a problem with you, she'd plant seeds of hatred in everyone around you. All these are not just cheap talk. Her feud with Bette Davis was legendary. These two couldn't stand each other, and when they were forced to work together, it was like putting a lit match next to a gas tank. Things really exploded when they co-starred in The Old Maid in 1939. Problem was, both of them wanted to be the center of attraction on set, and Miriam was used to being the queen bee. Bette Davis, on the other hand, was coming in hot, and neither of them was about to back down. There were constant power struggles. Who got the better camera angles? Who got the most screen time? Who got to steal the spotlight? They were practically keeping score. At one point, Miriam was so fed up with Bette stealing her thunder that she would deliberately drag out her own scenes, forcing Bette to just stand there and wait. And if that wasn't petty enough, rumor has it that she took pleasure in making Bette redo her scenes as many times as possible just to mess with her. But none of these compares to how paranoid she was about being upstaged. If she thought another actress was stealing attention, she'd go out of her way to make sure the focus stayed on her. There's even a story that she used to tamper with costumes and props to throw off her co-stars. And don't even get me started on her competitive streak when it came to landing roles. She and Bette Davis had another major falling out when Bette got the part of Jezebel in 1938, a role that Miriam really wanted. Instead of congratulating her, Miriam acted like Bette had personally stolen it from her, and she never let it go. At the end of the day, she made Hollywood exciting, but she also made it exhausting. If she were around today, she'd probably be trending every other week for behind-the-scenes drama. But hey, at least she kept things interesting, right? Constance Bennett. Bennett was a full-blown diva, and she knew it. She walked onto every set like she owned the place, and honestly, sometimes she kind of did. For context, she came from Hollywood royalty. Her father was stage and film actor Richard Bennett, so she carried herself like she was above the usual rules of show business. And if someone tried to treat her like an ordinary actress, oh, they were in for a rude awakening. To be sure, directors, co-stars, producers, she clashed with all of them. She had a sharp tongue and an even sharper attitude, and she wasn't afraid to put people in their place if they didn't meet her expectations. There are stories of her walking off set mid-scene just because she didn't like how things were going. If a director dared to give her a note she didn't agree with, she'd argue right there on set, holding up production just to prove she wasn't one to be bossed around. In a nutshell, she also had standards. And by that, I mean she demanded the absolute best treatment at all times. She expected top billing, the best costumes, the best lighting, and her own personal space on set that no one else was allowed to invade. If her name wasn't in the biggest font on a movie poster, she'd throw a fit. And heaven help anyone who tried to make her do something she considered beneath her status. But how did this look like for everyone else around her? God question. One of her most infamous feuds was with Warner Brothers head Jack Warner. She signed a contract with the studio, but quickly decided she hated the way they operated. So what did she do? She found every loophole possible to make life miserable for them. She refused roles, showed up late, and made outrageous demands just to prove she wasn't going to play by their rules. Eventually, they gave up and let her go. That was Constance in a nutshell. Her way or no way at all. She might have been a nightmare to work with, but she made damn sure no one ever forgot her. Susan Hayward. This actress came up in Hollywood when the studios expected actresses to be sweet, submissive, and easy to control. But when it came to Susan, they were barking off the wrong tree. She had zero interest in playing nice. She had a reputation for being fiery, temperamental, and absolutely unwilling to take nonsense from anyone, whether it was a director, a co-star, or a producer trying to push her around. She fought tooth and nail for every role she got, and once she had it, she was all in, which sometimes made her a nightmare to work with. Directors would try to rein her in, but that made it 10 times worse. She had no patience for being micromanaged. If she didn't like how a scene was going, she'd let everyone know, and if she thought a director was incompetent, she wasn't shy about calling them out in front of the whole crew. It was bold, it was risky, but it was very Susan. As a matter of fact, one of her most famous clashes happened on the set of I'll Cry Tomorrow in 1955, where she played real-life alcoholic singer Lillian Roth. It was a brutal role, emotionally and physically draining, and she threw herself into it to the point of exhaustion. But on the bright side, Susan wasn't the type to admit weakness. That's good, right? Well, not exactly, because instead of taking a break, she just got angrier and more irritable. She lashed out at the director, complained about the grueling shooting schedule, and reportedly stormed off set more than once. But guess what? She still delivered an incredible performance that earned her an Oscar nomination. That was the thing about Susan. No matter how difficult she was, she always delivered. Marie Prevost. When it came to silent films, Marie Prevost was the it girl. Young, gorgeous, and oozing charisma. She had that effortless charm that made audiences fall in love with her, and for a while she was riding high. But Hollywood is brutal, and when the industry shifted to talkies, Marie's career started slipping. And let's just say she didn't handle it well. At her peak, she was working with some of the biggest directors in town, but even then, she had a bit of a reputation for being headstrong and unpredictable. She liked to party. She had a sharp tongue, and she didn't always play by the rules. But as her career started to decline, that rebellious streak turned into something darker. She became unmanageable, showing up late, arguing with directors, and sometimes just not showing up at all. As you might imagine, the studios had no patience for that kind of behavior, especially from an actress they didn't see as a box office draw anymore. So they pushed back, and it made her 10 times more difficult. The real turning point came when she started drinking heavily. It started out as just a little indulgence here and there, but it later became full-on self-destruction. She was drowning in booze, using it to numb the pain of her fading career. And it didn't take long before the studios washed their hands of her completely. She went from leading lady to barely scraping by, picking up whatever small roles she could just to survive. By the time the 1930s rolled around, Marie was a shell of the star she used to be. She was broke, drinking herself into oblivion, and completely alienated from the industry that once adored her. And then, in one of Hollywood's saddest and most infamous stories, she passed away alone in her tiny apartment in 1937. She had practically wasted away, malnourished and forgotten. And the most haunting part? Her dog had been trapped in the apartment with her for days, desperately trying to wake her up. When the authorities finally found her, the poor dog had been nibbling at her body just to survive. It's the kind of tragic, grim ending that old Hollywood was notorious for. Lena Basquet. There's no easy way to say it. Lena Basquet was the kind of woman who made old Hollywood executives sweat. She was more than a handful to deal with. She was a full-blown firecracker who refused to play by the rules. Studios liked their leading ladies to be glamorous, obedient, and scandal-free, but that wasn't Lena. She was basically the opposite of those things. She had a sharp tongue, a wild streak, and a habit of getting involved with the wrong men, and Hollywood just didn't know what to do with her. She started in silent films and was absolutely stunning on screen, but behind the scenes, she was more interested in stirring up drama than taking direction. She had affairs with powerful men, big-shot producers, directors, even tycoons, and let's just say it didn't always end well. One of these her high-profile relationships was with Sam Warner, one of the Warner Brothers founders. She married him, which should have secured her a permanent spot in Hollywood royalty, but when he died young, she was left fighting with his family over his fortune. And the Warner family? They hated her. They saw her as nothing more than a gold digger and basically blacklisted her from the industry. Not that Lena ever needed help getting into trouble. She was trouble herself. So imagine how people felt when they realized she had a connection to Adolf Hitler. No joke. She claimed he was a huge fan of hers and even invited her to Germany. According to Lena, he wanted to make her a personal guest of the Third Reich. She turned him down, of course, but the whole thing just added to her already chaotic reputation. Pola Negri. Every move she made, every word she spoke, every tear she cried, and there were a lot of those, was dialed up to 100. She came from European silent cinema, where over-the-top drama was the way to go, and she brought that same energy into real life. How did the studios take it? Well, they all loved her at first, until they realized she was just as dramatic off-screen as she was on it. She threw tantrums, made ridiculous demands, and always made sure the spotlight was on her. She even went as far as to fake an illness just to get sympathy. And not just a little cold or a headache. No, she went full soap opera with it. She'd suddenly become too weak to work, collapsing into the arms of a conveniently placed assistant, only to miraculously recover the moment she got her way. And if someone dared to call her out on it, well, let's just say they weren't going to have a fun day on set. I mean, even her love life was dramatic. When she got involved with Rudolph Valentino, the ultimate heartthrob of silent cinema, it was epic while it lasted, but when he passed suddenly in 1926, Pola saw an opportunity for the performance of a lifetime. She showed up at his funeral in full mourning attire, weeping dramatically, collapsing against his coffin, basically turning the whole thing into her own personal tragedy. People were torn between feeling bad for her and wondering if she was just putting on a show. Spoiler, she definitely was. Betty Hutton. High energy, loud, and completely unstoppable, Betty Hutton was like a human tornado. If you've ever seen her in Annie Get Your Gun in 1950, you know exactly what I mean. She was all wide eyes, big expressions, and go, go, go energy. That worked great on film. But behind the scenes, it made her a nightmare to work with. Directors were constantly at their wits' end with her. She wasn't just enthusiastic, she was exhausting. She had a habit of outperforming everyone around her, which didn't sit well with co-stars who weren't keen on being upstaged. She would over-rehearse scenes to the point of driving everyone crazy, sometimes working herself into a frenzy so intense that she'd actually collapse from exhaustion. And if she didn't like the way something was going, she made sure people knew about it. In fact, one of her biggest blow-ups was with director Cecil B. DeMille on the set of The Greatest Show on Earth in 1952. Now, unlike most other directors, DeMille was not the kind of guy you argued with. He was old-school Hollywood royalty, and his word was law. But Betty didn't care. She was constantly butting heads with him, questioning his choices, and basically running around like a one-woman circus. DeMille reportedly got so fed up that he swore he'd never work with her again. And guess what? He didn't. In the end, it's safe to say Betty's biggest enemy, the people around her. It was herself. She had this deep-seated insecurity that made her need constant reassurance. If she wasn't the center of attention, she'd spiral. That made her clingy with directors, needy with co-stars, and hell for producers who had to deal with her emotional roller coasters. There were stories about her breaking down in tears if she thought someone else was getting more praise than her, and she'd swing from manic excitement to meltdown mode in record time. Eventually, Hollywood just couldn't keep up with her. By the late 1950s, her career was in free fall. The industry that once praised her energy now found her too much to handle, and the offers dried up. Winifred Westover. She was young, beautiful, and talented, but she had one big problem. She absolutely refused to play by Hollywood's rules. If something wasn't going her way, she didn't sulk quietly or try to negotiate. She fought. And in an industry run by men who expected women to be obedient and grateful, that kind of attitude didn't make her many friends. Sadly, her claim to fame was her train wreck of a marriage to silent film legend William S. Hart. Now, Hart was the big deal of Western films. This guy practically invented the cowboy hero. He was rugged, serious, and about 30 years older than Winifred. When they got married in 1921, it should have been a Hollywood fairy tale. Instead, it turned into a messy disaster. So what was the issue? Well, Winifred hated being stuck in Hart's shadow. She wanted a career of her own, but he wanted a traditional wife, and she was not about that life. Recipe for disaster. The marriage lasted less than a year before completely imploding, and their divorce battle was ugly. There were accusations, bitterness, and a whole lot of drama that played out in public. Hart, who had spent his whole career playing tough, honorable cowboys, was humiliated. And Winifred? Well, Hollywood started seeing her as too much trouble. But that wasn't her only issue. Even before her marriage, she had a reputation for being difficult. She had a fiery temper and absolutely refused to take orders from producers or directors. If she didn't like a script, she'd argue about it. If a scene didn't feel right to her, she'd fight to change it. And if someone tried to push her into something she didn't want to do, good luck, because she'd rather walk off set than back down. Even after her divorce, she tried making a comeback, but Hollywood had moved on. The industry had no patience for actresses who were seen as troublemakers, and Winifred had already burned too many bridges. By the late 1920s, she was done. She faded out of the spotlight, leaving behind a reputation as one of silent film's most stubborn, fiery, and impossible to control actresses. Joan Marsh. Joan Marsh was one of those classic Hollywood cases where a child star grows up and refuses to take orders from anyone. She started in the silent film era as an adorable, blonde-haired little darling playing the wide-eyed innocent in early pictures. But by the time she transitioned into more mature roles, that sweet little girl image was long gone. Joan had an attitude, and she wasn't afraid to let everyone know it. You see, the thing about Joan was that she genuinely had talent. She was beautiful, she had comedic timing, and she could act when she wanted to. But working with her, that was a different story. She had a reputation for being incredibly demanding, often showing up to set with a list of complaints before the cameras even started rolling. She would argue with directors over the smallest details, insisting that she knew better than they did. And if she wasn't feeling a particular scene or line, forget it. She'd dig her heels in and refuse to do it until it was rewritten to her liking. Even her co-stars weren't exactly big fans of hers either. Joan had a habit of stealing the spotlight, both on and off screen. She'd upstage other actresses in scenes, sometimes by subtly overacting or shifting her position so the camera favored her instead. If a director tried to correct her, she'd push back, sometimes storming off set or causing delays. One of her biggest issues was that she seemed to think she was a much bigger star than she actually was. She was never a top-tier actress like Bette Davis or Joan Crawford, but you wouldn't know that from the way she carried herself. She expected A-list treatment in a B-list career, and that attitude rubbed a lot of people the wrong way. So, by the late 1930s, Hollywood got tired of her antics. The roles started drying up, and Joan eventually faded from the industry, making her last film in the 1940s before disappearing into a quiet post-Hollywood life. She may not have left behind an Oscar-winning legacy, but in terms of being difficult, she absolutely earned her spot in Hollywood's Bad Girls Club. Barbara Payton. Payton had all the makings of a star, and for a while, she was one. She had the looks, the confidence, and that undeniable screen presence that made casting directors sit up and take notice. But there was one problem. Barbara was wild, and not in the charming, rebellious way that some stars could get away with. No, she was full throttle, no brakes, set her own career on fire wild. In essence, her biggest enemy was herself. At first, Hollywood ate her up. She was stunning, blonde, curvy, with a sultry attitude that made her impossible to ignore. She started landing roles in films like Kiss Tomorrow Goodbye in 1950 with James Cagney, and people started calling her the next big thing. But behind the scenes, things were already unraveling. Barbara partied hard. She was drinking heavily, showing up to sets late or sometimes not at all, and making a lot of bad decisions. And then came the relationships. Oh boy, Barbara wasn't just dating famous men, she was destroying them. Her most infamous love triangle? That would be her disastrous affair with actors Franchot Tone and Tom Neal. Now, Tone was a classy, sophisticated actor, old Hollywood royalty. Tom Neal, on the other hand, was a rough-around-the-edges B-movie tough guy. Barbara bounced between the two like a human wrecking ball. It all came to a head in 1951 when Neal brutally beat Tone so badly that he ended up in the hospital with a broken nose, a concussion, and brain damage. And where was Barbara during all of this, taking Neil back? That scandal was Hollywood poison, and studios wanted nothing to do with her after that. After that, her career fell fast. She was too much of a liability, too unpredictable, too much bad press, and way too much drama. The offers dried up, and Barbara turned to smaller and smaller roles before she eventually ended up completely out of the industry. But instead of stepping away gracefully, she spiraled hard. The drinking got worse, the bad relationships kept coming, and before long she was completely broke, turning to selling her body just to survive. The public reaction to Andress's involvement at Millbrook was mixed. While some fans were shocked and dismayed, seeing her as tainted by association with a controversial figure like Leary, others were intrigued and even supportive. For many, her presence at these events symbolized a broader cultural shift, as even established stars were exploring new ideas and challenging societal norms. It reflected the growing curiosity and openness towards alternative lifestyles and philosophies that characterized the 1960s. However, the media's portrayal also had a significant impact on Andress's reputation. The scandalous narrative constructed around her participation at Millbrook contributed to a certain stigmatization, not just of Andress, but also of the broader counterculture movement. The portrayal of celebrities like Andress as being involved in the wild world of psychedelics played into existing fears and prejudices about the counterculture, reinforcing negative stereotypes. The unfair consequences. Following the Harvard drug scandal and Ursula Andress's association with Timothy Leary and the Millbrook estate, the media scrutiny was intense and pervasive. The press seized on the story, often sensationalizing Andress's involvement to create eye-catching headlines and drive public interest. Given her status as a glamorous Hollywood star, her connection to a controversial figure like Leary and the broader counterculture movement was seen as particularly scandalous. The immediate consequences for Andress's public image were significant. The media's portrayal often leaned towards the negative, painting her as someone who had been seduced by the so-called wild side of the 1960s counterculture. This narrative clashed sharply with her established image as a sophisticated and alluring actress. The public, accustomed to seeing Andress in the glamorous roles of a Bond girl or a high-profile star, found the juxtaposition jarring. Her presence at events associated with psychedelics and alternative lifestyles challenged the conservative values held by a substantial portion of the audience. In terms of her career, the impact was a mix of challenges and resilience. While the scandal did not lead to an outright blacklist or a complete derailment of her career, it did create some friction within the industry. The entertainment world, like much of society at the time, was divided over the counterculture. Some producers and directors might have seen her involvement in the scandal as a liability, potentially leading to fewer opportunities or hesitation to cast her in roles that required a more wholesome or conventional image. However, Andress also found support among those who were sympathetic to the counterculture or who appreciated the complexity of her situation. The 1960s were a time of rapid change, and many in the industry were exploring new artistic and cultural boundaries. This segment of the industry may have viewed Andress's involvement as a sign of her openness to new ideas and her willingness to challenge the status quo. Consequently, she continued to secure roles, albeit with a more cautious approach to her public persona. However, on the other hand, the public reaction was not uniformly negative. A portion of the audience admired her for her apparent courage and independence, seeing her as a woman who was not afraid to explore different aspects of life, even if they were controversial. This perception added a layer of complexity to her public image, moving her beyond the simple label of a Hollywood beauty to someone with intellectual curiosity and personal depth. In the long run, while the Harvard drug scandal added a controversial chapter to Ursula Andress's story, it did not define her entire career. She continued to work in films and maintained her status as an iconic figure, albeit with a slightly altered public perception. Other controversies in her career. In the late 1970s, Andress entered into a relationship with Harry Hamlin, who was 15 years her junior. At that time, Hamlin was an up-and-coming actor, still making his mark in Hollywood, while Andress was a well-known international star. Their relationship attracted considerable media attention, largely due to the significant age difference between them and the contrast in their career stages. The age gap was particularly notable because Andress was already an established figure in the film industry, whereas Hamlin was at the beginning of his career. This dynamic made their relationship a point of fascination and, at times, controversy. The media's focus on their romance was shaped by the era's evolving attitudes toward age and relationships. The 1960s and 1970s saw a growing acceptance of non-traditional relationships and a challenge to conventional norms, but age differences in romantic relationships could still be a topic of scrutiny. For Andress and Hamlin, their relationship became a subject of public debate, often framed within the broader context of changing societal values. Adding to the public's interest was the birth of their son, Dimitri Hamlin, in 1980. The arrival of their child was a significant event that further drew media attention to their relationship. The birth of Dimitri marked a new chapter in their lives and highlighted the blend of personal and public aspects of their relationship. Despite the media scrutiny, Andress and Hamlin's relationship was marked by genuine affection and commitment. The attention it received was a reflection of the changing social landscape of the time, where the personal lives of celebrities often intersected with broader cultural discussions. For Andress, the relationship with Hamlin was one aspect of her complex life, demonstrating her ability to navigate personal and professional challenges in a rapidly evolving cultural environment. Ursula Andress, a name synonymous with Hollywood glamour and the unforgettable Bond girl, found herself entangled in a scandal so bizarre it shocked the world. At the height of her fame, Andress was embroiled in a controversy that threatened to overshadow her illustrious career. But what could possibly lead such an iconic star into such a bewildering predicament? Before the fame, Ursula Andress was born on March 19, 1936 in Ostermundigen, a picturesque village in Switzerland. She grew up in a family with artistic inclinations. Her father was a German diplomat, and her mother was Swiss. Despite the relatively quiet and traditional surroundings of her early life, Ursula harbored dreams of a more glamorous and adventurous existence. She developed an interest in acting at a young age, inspired by the allure of cinema and the stars on the silver screen. However, her journey into the world of acting wasn't straightforward. In her late teens, Andress moved to Rome, a city known for its vibrant film industry during the 1950s. Her striking beauty and enigmatic presence quickly caught the attention of filmmakers. While in Rome, she began modeling and slowly transitioned into acting, landing small roles in Italian films. Though these early parts were modest, they allowed her to gain experience and exposure. It wasn't long before her captivating looks and burgeoning talent brought her to the attention of Hollywood. Andress's move to Hollywood marked a significant turning point in her career. The American film industry, with its vast resources and international reach, provided her with opportunities she could only dream of in Europe. Her big break came in 1962 when she was cast as Honey Ryder in the James Bond film Dr. No. This role would become iconic, not just in her career, but in cinematic history. The image of Andress emerging from the Caribbean Sea in a white bikini became one of the most memorable moments in the James Bond series and a symbol of 1960s pop culture. Her performance, marked by a mix of innocence and seduction, captivated audiences worldwide and established her as a major star. Following the success of Dr. No, Andress's career soared. She became a sought-after actress, known for her ability to blend sultry charm with a strong, independent presence. She appeared in a variety of films, including Fun in Acapulco, 1963, alongside Elvis Presley, and Four for Texas, 1963, a comedy western with Frank Sinatra and Dean Martin. Each role showcased a different facet of her talent, whether it was comedy, drama, or action. She continued to solidify her status as a leading lady in Hollywood, and her fame extended beyond the United States to international audiences. Andress's appeal was not just limited to her on-screen performances. She became a fashion icon and a fixture in the media, often celebrated for her glamorous lifestyle and romantic liaisons. Her beauty and style set trends, and she was frequently featured in magazines and on the red carpet. Despite the challenges of being typecast in roles that emphasized her looks, Andress managed to navigate the complexities of Hollywood's star-making machinery with grace and poise. Throughout the 1960s and beyond, Ursula Andress maintained a successful career in film. She worked with a range of notable directors and actors, continuing to expand her repertoire. Her journey from a small Swiss village to international stardom is a testament to her determination and charisma. As the years went on, Andress remained a beloved figure in the entertainment world, remembered not just for her iconic roles but for her unique blend of elegance and strength. Her early life and career set the stage for the many adventures and challenges that would follow, including her involvement in one of the most intriguing scandals of the 1960s. The Nude Starlet. One of Andress's most iconic and controversial roles was in Dr. No, 1962. In this James Bond film, she portrayed Honey Ryder, a character famously introduced in a white bikini emerging from the sea. This scene became a defining moment in cinematic history, cementing Andress's status as a sex symbol. While the bikini scene was celebrated for its boldness and glamour, it also sparked discussions about the depiction of female sexuality in mainstream film. The provocative nature of this role was a departure from the more restrained portrayals of women in earlier cinema, reflecting a broader cultural shift. Following Dr. No, Andress continued to appear in films that featured nudity, further fueling the controversy surrounding her career. In The 10th Victim, 1965, a satirical science fiction film directed by Elio Petri, Andress played a character involved in a futuristic game of assassination. Her role included scenes that emphasized her physical allure and added to the film's provocative edge. The depiction of nudity in this context was part of the film's broader satirical commentary, but it also contributed to the debates about morality and the objectification of women in cinema. Similarly, in She, 1965, a fantasy adventure film directed by Robert Day, Andress portrayed a character named Aisha, who is both a ruler and a seductive figure. The film featured costumes and scenes designed to highlight Andress's physical presence, adding to the controversy surrounding her on-screen image. The portrayal of her character involved elements that were considered provocative and controversial, reflecting the ongoing discussions about the role of nudity in film. Andress's willingness to take on such roles was a reflection of the broader cultural changes of the 1960s and 1970s. The counterculture movement of the era challenged traditional values and explored new forms of expression, including more open portrayals of sexuality in cinema. While some celebrated Andress's roles as a sign of progress and liberation, others viewed them as a departure from conventional morality. The media often highlighted the controversy surrounding Andress's on-screen nudity, framing it within the larger debates about the representation of women and the shifting boundaries of acceptable content in film. Regardless of all the controversies that came with her risque roles, nothing compared to what followed the greatest scandal connected to her. Setting the stage. The 1960s were a transformative decade marked by profound cultural and social changes, which gave rise to the counterculture movement. This period, characterized by a strong desire for reform and an embrace of alternative lifestyles, saw the emergence of a vibrant, rebellious subculture that sought to challenge and redefine conventional norms. The counterculture movement was fundamentally about rejecting the status quo and exploring new ways of living and thinking. It was a reaction against the traditional values of the 1950s, which were often seen as rigid and oppressive by the younger generation. The movement spanned various aspects of life, including politics, art, music, and lifestyle, and was driven by a collective yearning for freedom, equality, and self-expression. One of the most significant influences on the counterculture was the widespread experimentation with psychedelics, offering new perspectives on consciousness and reality. Figures such as Timothy Leary, who famously encouraged people to turn on, tune in, and drop out, became prominent voices in promoting the use of these substances as tools for personal and societal transformation. Alternative lifestyles and philosophies also gained prominence during the 1960s. The movement embraced a variety of unconventional practices, from communal living in hippie communes to a growing interest in Eastern philosophies and meditation. The idea of living free became a rallying cry for many young people who were disillusioned with materialism and traditional societal structures. The quest for personal and communal fulfillment often led individuals to seek out new ways of living that emphasized harmony, simplicity, and spiritual growth. Ursula Andress, as an international star during this transformative period, found herself at the intersection of these cultural shifts. Her involvement in Hollywood, a glamorous yet often conservative industry, placed her in a unique position to both reflect and challenge the evolving norms. The era's changing values influenced her career and public persona as she navigated a landscape where personal and professional boundaries were increasingly blurred. Andress's participation in events associated with the counterculture movement, such as those involving Timothy Leary and the Millbrook estate, highlighted her engagement with the era's spirit of exploration and rebellion. Her willingness to embrace roles that featured nudity and explore unconventional themes in her films also mirrored the broader cultural shift towards greater openness and self-expression. Ursula Andress's connection to Leary. Ursula Andress's involvement with Timothy Leary and his circle came about during the height of her fame in the 1960s, when she was exploring new aspects of her personal and professional life. Known for her role as the original Bond girl in Dr. No, Andress had become an international symbol of glamour and allure. However, beyond her on-screen persona, she was also curious about the rapidly changing cultural landscape and the burgeoning counterculture movement that was challenging traditional norms. Andress's connection to Leary was partly facilitated by her social circles, which included various artists, intellectuals, and celebrities who were intrigued by the exploration of new philosophies and lifestyles. The 1960s were a time of great experimentation, not just in the arts but also in personal and spiritual exploration. Leary, as a leading figure in this movement, attracted a diverse group of followers and curious onlookers. Andress, like many others, was intrigued by Leary's ideas and the promise of greater understanding through the use of psychedelics. She attended several gatherings and events hosted by Leary and his associates. One of the most notable events was at the Millbrook estate in upstate New York, a communal living space where Leary and others conducted psychedelic experiments and engaged in deep discussions about the nature of existence. These events were a mix of intellectual debate, spiritual exploration, and social interaction, often blurring the lines between scientific inquiry and personal experience. Andress's attendance at these gatherings was covered by the media, which sensationalized her involvement, partly due to her celebrity status. The press often portrayed these events as wild, drug-fueled parties, although the reality was often more nuanced, involving serious discussions and a genuine quest for knowledge. Andress's participation was seen as scandalous by some, as it clashed with her glamorous public image and the conservative norms of the time. However, she appeared to approach these experiences with an open mind, interested in understanding the different facets of human experience. Her interest in Leary's ideas was part of a broader curiosity about the world and the different ways people were seeking meaning in their lives. While Andress did not become as deeply involved as some others in Leary's circle, her connection to this group reflected her willingness to explore unconventional ideas and challenge societal expectations. This phase of her life added another layer to her public persona, showing her as more than just a Hollywood starlet, but also as someone engaged with the intellectual and cultural movements of her time. The height of the scandal, the Millbrook Estate Incident. The Millbrook Estate Incident was a pivotal moment in the intersection of the counterculture movement and celebrity culture during the 1960s. The estate, located in upstate New York, became a renowned hub for psychedelic experimentation and intellectual exploration, spearheaded by Timothy Leary and his associates. The grand mansion and its expansive grounds provided an idyllic and somewhat secluded setting for gatherings that often combined scientific inquiry with spiritual and philosophical discussions. These gatherings were attended by a mix of academics, artists, musicians, and occasionally celebrities like Ursula Andress. During one such event at Millbrook, Andress's presence drew considerable attention. The media, always eager for a sensational story, portrayed these gatherings in a highly dramatized manner. The reality was more nuanced. While psychedelics were indeed part of the experience, the gatherings were also about exploring new dimensions of consciousness, discussing cutting-edge ideas, and challenging conventional views on society and the mind. Andress, with her status as an international movie star, became a focal point in the media coverage of the Millbrook events. Her participation was seen as scandalous, primarily because of the stark contrast between her glamorous public image and the counterculture's often anti-establishment ethos. The media played up her involvement, suggesting that she was deeply immersed in the controversial aspects of the counterculture. Sensational headlines and stories were quick to paint a picture of debauchery and excess, capitalizing on the public's fascination with celebrity lifestyles.
On the 30th of March 1939, at the bustling premiere of Maisie in Los Angeles, a star named Ann Sothern captivated the silver screen, embodying the vivacious and witty character that would define her legacy. Unknown to the glittering crowds and even to Sothern herself, this role would etch her name into the annals of Hollywood's golden age, yet also cast a shadow over her diverse talents and contributions. As Sothern's Maisie charmed audiences nationwide, a complex narrative unfolded off-screen, one of ambition, resilience, and the untold struggles within the gilded cages of Hollywood. This story, much like a cipher hidden in plain sight, reveals the intricate layers of an actress navigating the highs and lows of fame, battling the industry's typecasting and gender biases, all while leaving a mark subtly obscured by time. Through the lens of her career, we delve into a journey not just of a forgotten luminary, but of Hollywood itself, exploring the enigmatic legacy of Ann Sothern, whose brilliance on and off the camera remains a testament to her undervalued impact on the cinematic world. The Untold Beginning. In the brisk winter of 1909, the small town of Valley City, North Dakota, became the birthplace of a future star, Harriet Arlene Lake, known to the world as Ann Sothern. Born into a family where music and the arts were the lifeblood, her mother, Annette Wide Lake, a concert singer, and her father, Walter J. Lake, a pianist, the stage was set for Ann's entrance into the world of entertainment from her earliest days. The journey from Valley City to the glowing marquees of Hollywood was marked by a series of pivotal moments and encounters that shaped Sothern's early career. In the mid-1920s, the Lake family relocated to Minneapolis, where Ann's passion for acting took root. By the tender age of 16, Ann was already performing in local theater productions, demonstrating a natural talent that could not be ignored. The year 1927 marked a significant turning point when Ann and her mother made the bold decision to move to California. The allure of Hollywood's burgeoning film industry was irresistible, and for a young actress like Ann, it promised the fulfillment of her dreams. Yet the reality of Hollywood in the late 1920s was far from the glamorous ideal portrayed in fan magazines and on the silver screen. It was a place of fierce competition, where countless hopefuls vied for a chance to shine. Ann's early years in Hollywood were fraught with challenges. She found work where she could, taking on bit parts in films like Broadway Nights, 1927, and enduring the hardships of the Great Depression. The industry was in flux, transitioning from silent films to talkies, a shift that spelled the end of many careers. Undeterred, Ann honed her craft, studying at the Pasadena Playhouse and taking on various stage roles, all the while waiting for her breakthrough moment. That moment came in the early 1930s, though not without its trials. Ann's initial contract with Columbia Pictures ended after a year with little to show for it. However, her persistence paid off when she caught the eye of Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer, MGM scouts, leading to a contract with one of Hollywood's most prestigious studios. It was under MGM's banner that Ann Sothern would find her niche, not as a glamorous leading lady, but as the vivacious, quick-witted Maisie Ravier, a role that would define her career. The Maisie series, which began with Maisie, 1939, catapulted Anne to fame. Her portrayal of the smart, independent, and resourceful title character resonated with audiences, offering a blend of humor and heart that was both refreshing and relatable. The success of Maisie led to 9 sequels, securing Anne Sothern's place in Hollywood's pantheon of stars. Yet the path to stardom was not solely defined by her on-screen achievements. Behind the scenes, Anne navigated the complexities of studio politics, the fickleness of public adoration, and the personal sacrifices required by her profession. Her journey from the stages of Minneapolis to the silver screen of Hollywood is a testament to her resilience, talent, and unwavering determination to succeed against the odds. Anne Sothern's early years, marked by both struggle and triumph, laid the foundation for a career that would span over 6 decades. In those formative moments, a star was born, one whose legacy would endure long beyond her final curtain call. The Maisie controversy. In 1939, MGM introduced audiences to Maisie Ravier, a savvy and spirited showgirl with a heart of gold, portrayed with charismatic aplomb by Anne Sothern. The film Maisie was not just a hit. It spawned a series of 10 movies produced until 1947, transforming Sothern from a talented actress into a household name. Yet, as the series progressed, it became a double-edged sword, both elevating and entrapping Sothern within a specific persona. The character of Maisie, while beloved for her wit and resilience, became a gilded cage for Sothern. The actress, whose range extended far beyond the light-hearted comedy of the Maisie series, found herself battling against the typecasting that often accompanies a recurring role. Despite her success, Sothern's artistic ambitions chafed under the constraints of repeating the same character, yearning for roles that could showcase the breadth of her talent. The internal conflicts at MGM regarding the direction of the Maisie series further complicated matters. Sothern frequently found herself at odds with studio executives and writers over the development of her character. She pushed for storylines that would allow Maisie to evolve, seeking depth and variety in her roles that the formulaic approach of the series seldom offered. These creative disputes highlighted the tension between the studio's commercial interests and the artistic aspirations of its contracted talent. Notable figures within MGM, including producer J. Walter Rubin, who directed the first Maisie film, initially supported Sothern's vision for the character. However, Rubin's untimely death in 1942 and the studio's prioritization of consistency over creativity left Sothern navigating the series' future with less support. The struggle for creative control was emblematic of a broader issue within the studio system, where actors, despite their contributions to a film's success, had limited influence over their career's trajectory. As World War II raged and the American public sought escapism in cinema, the Maisie series continued to be a profitable venture for MGM, reinforcing the studio's reluctance to alter a successful formula. Despite this, Sothern's performances never waned in quality. She infused each portrayal of Maisie with freshness and vitality, a testament to her professionalism and commitment to her craft. The end of the Maisie series in 1947 did not mark the end of Sothern's struggle with typecasting, but it did close a chapter on a part of her career that was both defining and restrictive. In the years that followed, Sothern sought out diverse roles in film and television, demonstrating her versatility as an actress. Yet the shadow of Maisie Ravier lingered, a reminder of the complexities of Hollywood stardom and the personal costs of professional success. Hollywood's double standards? The glimmering facade of Hollywood's golden age often masked the stark realities of its double standards, particularly when it came to gender. For actresses like Anne Sothern, navigating this landscape meant contending with an industry that celebrated femininity on screen while simultaneously constraining the roles women could play, both on and off the set. As Sothern's career progressed through the 1930s and 1940s, she, like many of her contemporaries, found herself caught in a paradox. On one hand, her roles in films and the Maisie series showcased strong, independent women who could hold their own against any adversity. On the other, the very industry that provided these roles imposed rigid expectations on actresses, dictating not just the characters they played but also their public and private lives. The era was marked by the enforcement of the Motion Picture Production Code, colloquially known as the Hays Code, which sought to regulate content deemed morally questionable. While it impacted all aspects of film production, the code also reinforced traditional gender roles and limited the depiction of women's independence and sexuality, affecting the types of roles available to actresses. Beyond the screen, the studio system exerted control over actresses' images, often requiring them to conform to idealized standards of beauty and comportment. Contracts could include clauses that dictated personal choices, from dating to weight management, reflecting broader societal expectations of women. These constraints were emblematic of the double standards that permeated the industry, celebrating the allure of Hollywood's leading ladies while tightly controlling their autonomy. Ann Sothern's experiences reflect these contradictions. Despite her success and popularity, she too was subject to the whims of studio executives and the limitations imposed by the era's gender norms. Yet through her performances, Sothern subtly challenged these conventions, bringing complexity and strength to her roles that resonated with audiences and hinted at a broader spectrum of female experience than Hollywood was often willing to acknowledge. The double standards of Hollywood's golden age offer a window into the complexities of gender, power, and representation in an era that shaped modern cinema. As we look back on this period through the lens of contemporary understanding, the stories of actresses like Ann Sothern gain new dimensions, highlighting not just the challenges they faced, but also their contributions to the evolving landscape of film and culture. The Secret Loves. In the whirlwind of Hollywood's golden age, where the personal often intertwined with the public, Ann Sothern's romantic life unfolded beneath the studio's watchful eye. Her marriages, notably to Roger Pryor in 1936 and Robert Sterling in 1943, were not just personal milestones, but events that mirrored the complexities and expectations of a star under the studio system's glare. Ann's first marriage to Roger Pryor, a fellow actor, became a subject of public fascination. The couple married on September 18, 1936, in a ceremony that, while glamorous, hinted at the pressures they faced under the Hollywood spotlight. Their union, celebrated in the press, also underscored the challenges of maintaining a relationship when both partners were in the demanding world of show business. Despite their efforts, the marriage succumbed to these pressures, ending in divorce in 1943. Almost immediately following her divorce from Pryor, Sothern married Robert Sterling, another actor whose career was on the rise. Their marriage on May 23, 1943, was seen as a fresh start for Sothern, who sought stability and happiness away from the film set's demands. Yet this relationship, too, was subject to the strains inherent in Hollywood marriages. The couple welcomed a daughter, Tisha Sterling, in 1944, which brought joy to their lives, but also new challenges. The marriage ultimately ended in divorce in 1949, leaving Sothern to navigate the complexities of life as a single mother and leading lady. Beyond her marriages, rumors of Sothern's relationships and associations filled the gossip columns. Her close friendships within the industry with figures such as Lucille Ball and Desi Arnaz provided fodder for the press, highlighting the blurred lines between personal affiliations and public perceptions in Hollywood's tightly knit community. Sothern's romantic life, though marked by its highs and lows, was characterized by a resilience and independence that mirrored her on-screen personas. Despite the studio system's attempts to manage its stars' images, Sothern navigated her personal life with a level of discretion that allowed her to maintain a degree of privacy, a rare feat in an era where stars' lives were open books. Her experiences reflect the broader narrative of women in Hollywood during the mid-20th century, who balanced their careers, personal desires, and the industry's expectations. Sothern's journey through love, heartbreak, and motherhood offers a window into the realities behind the glamour, revealing a woman who, despite the public's gaze, sought to carve out her own path in love and in life. Blacklisting fears. The late 1940s and 1950s were tumultuous times for Hollywood. The HUAC, established to investigate alleged disloyalty and subversive activities on the part of private citizens, public employees, and those organizations suspected of having communist ties, turned its eye toward Hollywood in 1947. The entertainment industry, known for its liberal leanings and high-profile personalities, became a focal point for accusations of communist infiltration. Ann Sothern, whose career was at its peak during this period, found herself in an industry rife with fear and suspicion. While Sothern herself was not called before the HUAC, nor was she blacklisted, the atmosphere of the era inevitably affected all who worked in Hollywood. The blacklist, a result of the hearings, led to the shunning of actors, writers, directors, and others accused of communist affiliations, many of whom were blacklisted based on rumors or associations rather than concrete evidence. During this time, Sothern continued her work in both film and television, including starring in The Ann Sothern Show, which ran from 1958 to 1961. However, the climate of fear and the industry's self-censorship meant that topics that were deemed controversial or too politically charged were avoided. This environment limited the scope of creative expression and the types of roles available, even for those not directly implicated by the HUAC hearings. Notable figures during this era, such as screenwriter Dalton Trumbo and actor Charlie Chaplin, faced significant professional and personal repercussions due to their alleged communist ties or leftist sympathies. Trumbo was one of the Hollywood 10, a group of writers and directors who were jailed and blacklisted for their refusal to answer the HUAC's inquiries regarding their political affiliations. The impact of the Red Scare on Hollywood was profound, creating an environment where suspicion prevailed over creativity, and careers were often collateral damage in the fight against perceived communist influence. For actors like Ann Sothern, navigating this landscape required caution and resilience, as the implications of being associated with blacklisted individuals or ideologies could be career-ending. The Forgotten Pioneer. Ann Sothern's career trajectory took a pioneering turn when she transitioned from film to television, a move that was both innovative and risky at the time. In the early 1950s, television was still an emerging medium, often looked down upon by Hollywood's film elite. Sothern, however, saw an opportunity. In 1953, she starred in Private Secretary, a television series that ran until 1957. The show was a success, showcasing Sothern's comedic timing and charm to a new audience and proving that television could offer substantial roles for film actors. What is less known about Ann Sothern's venture into television is her role as a producer. The Ann Sothern Show, which aired from 1958 to 1961, was not just a vehicle for her acting talents. Sothern also took on an active role in its production. This was at a time when female producers were a rarity in Hollywood. Her involvement in the production aspects of the show marked her as one of the first women in television to take on such a role, paving the way for future generations of female producers and directors in the industry. Sothern's pioneering work extended beyond her on-screen roles and production work. She was also instrumental in negotiating the rights and syndication deals for her television shows, demonstrating an understanding of the business side of entertainment that was ahead of her time. Her foresight and negotiations ensured that The Ann Sothern Show and Private Secretary would be enjoyed by audiences for years to come, through reruns and syndication, a concept that was still in its infancy in the 1950s. Despite these significant contributions, Ann Sothern's role as a pioneer in the television industry is often overshadowed by her film career and her portrayal of Maisie. Yet, her work in television, both in front of and behind the camera, highlights her versatility, foresight, and willingness to embrace new challenges. Ann Sothern's pioneering efforts in the television industry are a testament to her innovative spirit and her significant yet often overlooked contributions to the medium's development. Her work laid the groundwork for future actors and producers, demonstrating the potential of television as a platform for creative expression and business acumen. The Final Act: A Legacy in Shadows. As the golden era of Hollywood cinema began to wane, Ann Sothern's career entered what could be considered its final act. By the 1960s, the landscape of the entertainment industry had shifted dramatically, with television becoming a dominant force and the studio system that had once ruled supreme undergoing significant changes. During this period, Sothern's work transitioned more towards television, including a notable role in The Ann Sothern Show, 1958-1961, which solidified her place in the pantheon of television stars. However, it was her return to film in the 1980s that marked a poignant moment in Sothern's career. In 1987, she received critical acclaim for her role in The Whales of August, a film that featured screen legends Bette Davis and Lillian Gish. Sothern's performance in this film at the age of 78 showcased her enduring talent and versatility as an actress. Despite the accolades, including an Academy Award nomination for Best Supporting Actress, this late-career resurgence did not fully rekindle the widespread recognition one might have expected for such a storied career. Sothern's legacy, particularly in the later years of her life, is reflective of the broader narrative of many Golden Age Hollywood actors whose contributions have faded into the background of popular cultural memory. Her work, spanning over 5 decades, contributed significantly to both film and television, yet the full extent of her impact is often overlooked in retrospectives of the era. Ann Sothern passed away on March 15, 2001, in Ketchum, Idaho, leaving behind a body of work that spans a critical period in American entertainment history. Her journey from the stages of North Dakota to the silver screen of Hollywood and onto the television sets of America's living rooms is a testament to her adaptability, talent, and perseverance. While Sothern's name may not be as readily recognized today as some of her contemporaries, her legacy endures through her contributions to the evolution of acting in film and television. Her pioneering work in television production, her memorable performances across multiple decades, and her ability to navigate the changing tides of the entertainment industry mark her as a significant figure in Hollywood history. Without a doubt, Hollywood has its secrets. In the same vein, Hollywood stars have their own secret that they would rather have taken to the grave. However, some of these secrets found their way out and would leave even the most loyal of fans with their jaws open in pure shock and even terror. Some of these Hollywood stars had some twisted fetishes and pleasures that they enjoyed in the privacy of their own homes or secret places. Some of them will shock you, others will send shivers down your spine. Flair for dramatic secret affairs. When you fall in love or get married, it is expected you stay in love or married to the love of your life and work through whatever differences you have, depending on what those differences are. But in the case of some of the old Hollywood stars, it was rumored that some of them loved and enjoyed having extra affairs. It was like a game, one where they never seemed content with what they had going on and were constantly on the lookout for something different and newer. One such example is that of none other than Marilyn Monroe. In the early 1950s, Marilyn Monroe's romantic entanglements with President John F. Kennedy and his brother, Attorney General Robert F. Kennedy, became the stuff of legend in the annals of American history. These alleged affairs, shrouded in secrecy and speculation, have fueled countless rumors and conspiracy theories, with some even suggesting that they may have played a role in Monroe's tragic demise. The whispers of an affair between Monroe and President Kennedy first began to circulate in the early 1960s as the actress's star continued to ascend to new heights. Their rumored liaison reached a fever pitch following Monroe's sultry and unforgettable Happy Birthday performance for the president at his 45th birthday celebration in Madison Square Garden on May 19, 1962. Clad in a form-fitting gown that left little to the imagination, Monroe's seductive rendition of the classic tune only served to fan the flames of speculation surrounding their relationship. But it was Monroe's alleged involvement with Robert F. Kennedy, the president's younger brother and trusted confidant, that truly captured the public's imagination. Rumors of a passionate affair between the actress and the Attorney General began to swirl in the wake of President Kennedy's assassination, with some suggesting that their relationship may have been more than just a fleeting dalliance. James Spada, Monroe's biographer, stoked the flames of speculation when he revealed to people in 2012 that while there may be no concrete proof of foul play, it was widely believed that Monroe had indeed engaged in intimate relations with both Bobby and Jack Kennedy. This revelation only served to further fuel the rumors of the fact that some stars were simply too adventurous to stick with one partner, but even darker, it fueled conspiracy and intrigue surrounding Monroe's untimely demise, with some suggesting that her knowledge of the Kennedy brothers' secrets may have made her a liability. However, despite the lack of definitive evidence linking Monroe's alleged affairs with the Kennedys to her tragic demise, the rumors persist to this day. It is a mystery that continues to captivate the public's imagination. Whether fueled by fact or fiction, the story of Marilyn Monroe and her rumored dalliances with two of America's most powerful men remains a compelling and enduring chapter in the annals of Hollywood lore. A little too much love for animals. No doubt some of the actresses in Hollywood loved to have a good time and explore their bodies whenever and with whomever they pleased. As a matter of fact, it could be argued that the older Hollywood stars were wilder than the current stars when it came to exploration and living on the edge. But as much as they liked to engage in physical pleasures with whomever they deemed fit, What happens when their physical partner is not a human at all? One of the shining examples in this regard is Clara Bow and her alleged intimate relationship with her dog. It all started with Clara Bow and her secretary Daisy DeVoe in 1930, marking a significant turning point in Bow's life and career. Clara Bow, often referred to as the It Girl, was one of the most prominent and beloved actresses of the silent film era, known for her vivacious personality and on-screen charisma. However, behind the scenes, her life was far from glamorous. Daisy DeVoe, Bow's secretary at the time, played a pivotal role in exposing the darker aspects of Bow's personal life. Their relationship soured when DeVoe left Bow in a fit of anger following an argument, taking with her piles of Bow's personal documents. Seeking revenge, or perhaps financial gain, DeVoe attempted to blackmail Bow with the information contained in these documents. Bow, refusing to succumb to DeVoe's blackmail attempts, took decisive action by involving the authorities and taking DeVoe to court. However, this decision would prove to have disastrous consequences for Bow. During the trial, DeVoe exposed intimate details of Bow's personal life, including her romantic relationships, partying habits, and alleged indiscretions. One such detail was the fact that where there were no men or women to satisfy her lustful desires, she would turn to her own dog. But that's not all. Bow is not the only one with such a sick fetish. Another woman named Bodil Johnson was also on the same train. As a matter of fact, she was nicknamed Queen of Bestiality. Born in rural Denmark in 1944, Bodil Johnson was raised on a farm where she had a horrific and brutal childhood at the hands of her religious nutjob mother. Regularly thrashed and denied any emotional comfort, Bodil found solace with animals. The suffering of her childhood became worse when she was raped while waiting for a train home from school. Her mother blamed her daughter for the rape and punished her for her sins. This brutality only pushed Bodil to identify more closely with animals than with humans, leading to her first teenage intimate act with the family dog. Sadly, that one mistake led to a whole new world for her and became a twisted pleasure and addiction even in her adult years. Major studios like MGM, Warner Brothers, and Paramount controlled every aspect of movie production, from casting to distribution, and maintained a carefully crafted image of glamour and sophistication. However, behind the scenes, the reality often differed drastically. The studio system operated under the principle of star-making machinery, where actors were groomed, managed, and marketed to the public as larger-than-life figures. This intense level of control extended beyond professional obligations and seeped into the personal lives of stars, dictating everything from their appearance to their relationships. For many actors, the pressures of fame, combined with the demands of the studio, created a breeding ground for substance abuse. One of the most famous examples of this phenomenon is Judy Garland, who rose to fame as a child star under the MGM banner. Garland struggled with the pressures of stardom from a young age, enduring grueling work schedules, strict dieting regimes, and constant scrutiny from studio executives. To cope with the stress, Garland was reportedly introduced to amphetamines to boost her energy levels and barbiturates to help her sleep. This dangerous cocktail of drugs eventually led to a lifelong battle with addiction and contributed to her untimely demise at the age of 47. Another prime example was Marilyn Monroe, another iconic figure of the era who also fell victim to the studio system's influence. Monroe's image as a blonde bombshell and sex symbol was meticulously crafted by 20th Century Fox, but behind closed doors, she struggled with feelings of inadequacy and insecurity. Monroe's drug use, which included prescription medication and alcohol, was well documented and is believed to have been encouraged by the pressures of fame and the demands of studio executives who intentionally turned a blind eye to her pleasure, even though they were slowly drawing life from her. A twisted sense of belonging. Old Hollywood has long been a subject of fascination and speculation, with its glamorous facade often concealing darker, more mysterious aspects. Among the many rumors and whispers that have circulated over the years, one of the most intriguing is the notion that some of its biggest stars were involved in cults or secret societies. During the golden age of Hollywood, which flourished from the 1920s to the 1950s, the film industry was dominated by powerful studios that meticulously crafted the public images of their stars. Behind the scenes, however, rumors swirled about the private lives of these celebrities and the possibility of clandestine affiliations. One of the most persistent rumors involves the alleged involvement of certain stars in secret societies or occult practices. Tales of Hollywood elites dabbling in esoteric rituals or participating in exclusive clubs have captivated the public imagination for decades. While concrete evidence to substantiate these claims is scarce, the allure of the forbidden and the unknown has kept these rumors alive. One name often associated with these rumors is that of actress Marlene Dietrich. Known for her sultry allure and enigmatic persona, Dietrich was rumored to have been involved in occult circles and secret societies. While the extent of her alleged involvement remains unclear, her reputation as a mysterious and alluring figure only fueled speculation about her potential connections to hidden worlds. Similarly, figures like Orson Welles and Anton LaVey, the founder of the Church of Satan, have been linked to Hollywood's underbelly of secret societies and occultism. Stories of clandestine gatherings, arcane rituals, and dark conspiracies have added layers of intrigue to the already mythic status of these iconic figures. Jean Arthur's journey through Hollywood was unlike any other. With a career that spanned over 3 decades, she delivered performances that have since become benchmarks of the golden age of cinema. Yet, for someone so visible on the silver screen, Arthur was a figure of profound privacy. Her off-screen life a stark contrast to the characters she so vivaciously brought to life. But who was Jean Arthur truly? Beyond the laughter and the acclaim, beyond the roles that made her a household name, there lay a woman of complexity, a soul who sought solace away from the cacophony of fame. Arthur's reluctance to embrace her celebrity status, her battles with anxiety, and her eventual retreat from Hollywood form a narrative as compelling as any of her films. This video seeks to peel back the layers of Jean Arthur's quiet radiance, to explore the dichotomy of a woman who was both a beacon of talent on screen and an enigma off it. From her early days in silent films to her unforgettable roles in classics directed by the likes of Frank Capra and George Stevens, we delve into the life of a woman who, despite her best efforts to remain out of the limelight, left an indelible mark on the industry and on the hearts of those who watched her. The rise of Jean Arthur. Jean Arthur's journey to becoming a beloved icon of Hollywood's golden age is a tale of resilience, talent, and an unmistakable voice that captivated audiences worldwide. Born Gladys Georgiana Green in 1900 in Plattsburgh, New York, Arthur's early life was marked by frequent moves, reflecting a restless spirit that would later define her career. Her entry into the world of acting was not a straightforward path. It was paved with the kind of determination and grit that characterized many of Hollywood's self-made stars. Arthur's foray into acting began in the early 1920s, a time when the film industry was undergoing significant transformations. The silent era was in full swing, and Hollywood was a burgeoning hub of creativity and innovation. Arthur's initial roles were small, often uncredited parts in silent films, where her distinctive presence began to draw attention. Despite the limitations of these early roles, Arthur's persistence paid off, leading to more substantial parts that showcased her range and depth as an actress. The transition from silent films to talkies in the late 1920s and early 1930s was a tumultuous period for many actors, whose careers were abruptly ended by the new demand for a different kind of on-screen presence. However, for Arthur, the advent of sound cinema provided an opportunity to leverage her most unique asset, her voice. Described as a mix of a squeak and a melodious lilt, Arthur's voice became her signature, setting her apart from her contemporaries and endearing her to audiences and critics alike. Arthur's breakthrough came with her role in The Whole Town's Talking, 1935, a performance that showcased her comedic timing and charm. However, it was her collaboration with director Frank Capra that catapulted her to stardom. Films like Mr. Deeds Goes to Town, 1936, and Mr. Smith Goes to Washington, 1939, not only solidified her status as a leading lady, but also highlighted her ability to bring depth and authenticity to her characters, traits that would define her career. Despite her success, Arthur's relationship with fame was complex. Known for her reclusive nature and discomfort with the Hollywood publicity machine, Arthur's off-screen life was shrouded in mystery, a stark contrast to the vivacious and approachable characters she portrayed. The craft of comedy. Jean Arthur's ascent to the zenith of Hollywood stardom was marked by her unparalleled mastery of the screwball comedy genre, a style of film that became immensely popular during the 1930s and 1940s. This genre, known for its fast-paced dialogue, complex plots, and blend of slapstick with a sophisticated wit, found its perfect muse in Arthur. Her performances in Mr. Deeds Goes to Town and The Lady Eve are emblematic of her ability to navigate the intricate dynamics of screwball comedy, showcasing her talent for combining wit, charm, and a palpable sense of vulnerability. Mr. Deeds Goes to Town, 1936, directed by Frank Capra, was a pivotal film in Arthur's career. Cast opposite Gary Cooper, Arthur played the role of Babe Bennett, a sharp-witted reporter who falls for Longfellow deeds. Cooper, a simple man who inherits a vast fortune. Arthur's portrayal of Bennett was a masterclass in the screwball heroine archetype, intelligent, independent, and morally complex. Her on-screen chemistry with Cooper was electric, and her performance earned critical acclaim, solidifying her status as one of the era's leading ladies in comedy. However, it was perhaps her role in The Lady Eve, 1941, directed by Preston Sturges, that fully showcased Arthur's comedic genius. Though Barbara Stanwyck played the lead in The Lady Eve, Arthur's roles in similar screwball comedies of the era, such as The More the Merrier, 1943, demonstrated her adeptness at this genre. Her ability to deliver rapid-fire dialogue with precision, coupled with her comedic timing and the inherent warmth she brought to her characters, made her performances stand out. Arthur's characters often challenged societal norms, embodying a modern woman's spirit who was both assertive and feminine. Arthur's unique appeal in the screwball comedy genre lay in her ability to blend humor with heart. Her characters were not mere caricatures, they were imbued with a depth and complexity that resonated with audiences. Arthur herself brought a sense of authenticity to these roles, drawing on her personal experiences and inner resilience. Off-screen, Arthur was known for her shyness and aversion to the Hollywood limelight, traits that contrasted sharply with the confident women she portrayed on screen. This juxtaposition between her private self and her public persona added layers to her performances, making her characters all the more compelling. Arthur's contribution to the screwball comedy genre extended beyond her individual performances. She helped define the archetype of the screwball heroine, a woman who was equal parts intellect, humor, and heart. This archetype would influence countless films and performances in the genre, leaving a legacy that endures in cinematic history. Jean Arthur's mastery of screwball comedy, highlighted in films like Mr. Deeds Goes to Town and through her body of work in the genre, showcases her as one of the definitive leading ladies of her era. Her ability to convey wit, charm, and vulnerability on screen not only endeared her to audiences, but also cemented her place in Hollywood's golden age as a symbol of comedic and dramatic excellence. Arthur and Capra, a cinematic partnership. The collaboration between Jean Arthur and Frank Capra is one of Hollywood's most celebrated director-actor partnerships, emblematic of a period when cinema was as much about entertainment as it was about conveying poignant social messages. This partnership flourished during the 1930s, a time of significant social and economic upheaval in the United States. Capra, with his deeply ingrained belief in the goodness of the common man and his critique of unchecked power, found in Arthur not just a talented actress, but a conduit for his themes of integrity, resilience, and social justice. Their collaboration produced several films, but none more significant than Mr. Smith Goes to Washington, 1939, a film that has come to define American ideals of democracy and individual agency. Arthur played Clarissa Saunders, a savvy and cynical secretary who helps the film's protagonist, Jefferson Smith, played by James Stewart, navigate the complexities of American politics. Arthur's performance, marked by a blend of skepticism and eventual inspiration, perfectly complemented Capra's vision of an America where ordinary individuals can make a difference. The success of Mr. Smith Goes to Washington was due in no small part to the synergy between Capra's direction and Arthur's performance. Capra's socially conscious storytelling, which often tackled themes of corruption, media manipulation, and the loss of innocence, found its ideal expression in Arthur's characters, who often embodied a blend of idealism and pragmatism. This dynamic allowed Capra's films to resonate on a deeply emotional level, with Arthur serving as the relatable, human element in his grand narratives. Arthur's collaboration with Capra was not limited to Mr. Smith Goes to Washington. Their partnership also produced Mr. Deeds Goes to Town, 1936, and You Can't Take It With You, 1938, films that similarly explored themes of simplicity, honesty, and the value of community. In each of these films, Arthur's performances were critical to grounding Capra's ideals in relatable human terms. Her ability to convey complex emotions with subtlety and depth provided the perfect foil to Capra's larger-than-life characters and situations. Beyond her work with Capra, Arthur's career was also marked by her collaboration with another legendary director, John Ford, in The Whole Town's Talking, 1935. While her partnership with Ford was not as extensive as with Capra, it further showcased her versatility as an actress and her ability to adapt to different directorial styles. Ford, known for his portrayal of American myths and landscapes, utilized Arthur's talent to explore themes of identity and redemption, adding another layer to her already diverse career. The Reluctant Star. Jean Arthur's luminous presence on the silver screen belied a deeply private nature, a paradox that defined her career and personal life. Despite her undeniable talent and the acclaim that came with it, Arthur was known for her shyness and aversion to the Hollywood limelight, a reluctance that stood in stark contrast to the bold, spirited characters she portrayed. This chapter delves into the complexities of Arthur's stardom, exploring how her reluctance to embrace fame contrasted sharply with her on-screen persona and professional success. Arthur's preference for privacy over public accolades was well known within the industry. Unlike many of her contemporaries, she eschewed the typical trappings of Hollywood fame, rarely appearing at public events or participating in the studio's publicity efforts beyond what was contractually required. Interviews with Arthur were scarce, and she was known to be uncomfortable with the fanfare and attention that came with her profession. This reticence extended to her personal life, which she guarded fiercely, leading to much speculation and mystery surrounding the actress. Despite her aversion to the spotlight, Arthur's talent could not be contained. On screen, she exuded a natural warmth and charisma, endearing her to audiences and making her one of the most beloved actresses of her time. Her ability to convey strength, vulnerability, and humor often simultaneously made her performances compelling and relatable. Arthur's work with directors like Frank Capra highlighted her unique appeal, showcasing her as the quintessential everywoman who embodied American ideals of integrity and resilience. The contrast between Arthur's public and private selves raises questions about the nature of stardom and the expectations placed on public figures. Arthur's career coincided with the golden age of Hollywood, a time when stars were expected to maintain a certain image and availability to their fans. Her reluctance to participate in this aspect of her profession was seen as unconventional, even problematic, by studio executives who relied on star power to promote their films. Yet, Arthur's insistence on maintaining her privacy can also be viewed as a form of resistance against the commodification of celebrity and an assertion of her autonomy. Arthur's shyness and preference for privacy did not diminish her professional dedication. Colleagues and directors often spoke of her commitment to her craft, her meticulous preparation for roles, and her ability to transform once the cameras were rolling. This professionalism, coupled with her natural talent, ensured that Arthur's career thrived despite her aversion to the spotlight. Pioneering feminine archetypes. In an era when women on screen were often relegated to secondary or stereotypical roles, Arthur's characters stood out for their strength, intelligence, and independence. Her portrayal of such roles contributed to evolving representations of women in cinema, offering audiences a glimpse of a more nuanced and empowered female identity. Arthur's characters were often women ahead of their time, navigating professional and personal challenges with a blend of resilience and grace. In Mr. Deeds Goes to Town, she plays a savvy reporter who, despite her initial cynicism, reveals a deep capacity for empathy and integrity. Similarly, in Mr. Smith Goes to Washington, Arthur portrays a seasoned political aide who becomes an invaluable ally to James Stewart's idealistic senator, showcasing her character's intelligence and political acumen. These roles, among others, positioned Arthur as an actress capable of conveying complex female experiences, breaking away from the damsel in distress archetype prevalent in many films of the era. Arthur's on-screen personas resonated with the emerging sensibilities of a society on the cusp of significant social change. The 1930s and 1940s were decades marked by economic turmoil, war, and the beginning of shifts in gender dynamics. Women were entering the workforce in unprecedented numbers, and their roles within the family and society at large were beginning to evolve. Arthur's characters reflected this shift, embodying the aspirations and challenges of a generation of women seeking greater autonomy and recognition. Moreover, Arthur's collaboration with directors like Frank Capra further amplified her impact on the portrayal of women in cinema. Capra's films, known for their social commentary and exploration of American ideals, provided Arthur with a platform to showcase her range as an actress and to bring to life characters that were both relatable and inspirational. Her performances in Capra's films not only entertained, but also provoked thought about the role of women in society, their capacity for leadership, and their right to pursue personal and professional fulfillment. Jean Arthur's contribution to cinema extends beyond her individual performances to include her influence on the portrayal of women on screen. By taking on roles that challenged traditional gender roles, Arthur paved the way for future generations of actresses. Her legacy is evident in the increasingly complex and diverse representations of women in film, a testament to her enduring impact on the industry. Arthur's reluctance to embrace the trappings of fame, coupled with her commitment to portraying strong, intelligent women, underscores the duality of her legacy. Off-screen, she was a private individual who shied away from the spotlight, yet on-screen, she represented a progressive vision of womanhood. This duality enriches Arthur's legacy, making her not just a celebrated actress of Hollywood's golden age, but also a pioneering figure in the evolution of women's representation in cinema. The transition to stage and television. Jean Arthur's transition from the silver screen to the stage and television marked a significant shift in her career, reflecting her desire to explore different facets of acting and to engage with new audiences. This chapter delves into the later part of Arthur's career, highlighting her notable stage performances and her role in the television series The Jean Arthur Show, underscoring her continued impact on the performing arts. After achieving considerable success in Hollywood, Arthur's career took a turn as she began to seek opportunities beyond film. Her move towards stage and television was driven by a combination of factors, including her well-documented discomfort with the Hollywood system and her desire for more challenging and diverse roles. Arthur's foray into theater was not just a departure from film, but a return to her roots. Before her Hollywood fame, she had experience in New York's theater scene, which had initially honed her acting skills. One of Arthur's most significant stage roles came in 1950, when she starred in the Broadway production of Peter Pan as Peter. Her performance was lauded for its energy and whimsy, capturing the eternal youthfulness of the character and showcasing Arthur's versatility as an actress. This role, among others, demonstrated Arthur's ability to captivate live audiences, just as she had film audiences, with her unique charm and talent. Arthur's transition to television was highlighted by The Jean Arthur Show in 1966, where she played a lawyer. The show was an attempt to capitalize on Arthur's enduring appeal, offering her a platform to reach a new generation of viewers. Despite the show's short run, it was a testament to Arthur's willingness to embrace new challenges and to adapt to the changing dynamics of the entertainment industry. Arthur's work in stage and television during the latter part of her career is indicative of her broader impact on the performing arts. She brought the same depth and nuance to her stage and television roles as she did to her film characters, challenging traditional gender roles and paving the way for future generations of actresses. Her characters often embodied strength, intelligence, and independence, contributing to evolving representations of women in cinema and beyond. Moreover, Arthur's transition highlights the fluidity between different mediums of acting, underscoring the idea that talent transcends the platform. Her ability to move between film, stage, and television with ease and success is a testament to her skill as an actress and her dedication to her craft. In examining the later part of Jean Arthur's career, we see a performer who was not content to rest on her laurels, but was driven by a passion for acting and a desire to explore the full range of her abilities. Her contributions to stage and television are an essential part of her legacy, showcasing her versatility and her continued relevance in the world of performing arts. The legacy of a reluctant star. Reflecting on Jean Arthur's enduring legacy in Hollywood requires an appreciation of her unique position within the pantheon of Golden Age cinema. Arthur's contributions to the film industry during her active years were profound, not only in terms of the memorable characters she brought to life, but also in how she navigated her career with a rare blend of integrity and talent. This chapter focuses on Arthur's impact on the film industry, her influence on contemporary actresses, and her lasting symbol as an exemplar of grace and professionalism in an industry often criticized for its excesses. Jean Arthur's legacy in Hollywood is anchored in her performances, which often broke the mold of traditional female roles. Her characters were strong, intelligent, and independent, embodying a modern woman who could stand on equal footing with her male counterparts. This was a significant departure from the more conventional portrayals of women in cinema at the time, making Arthur a forerunner in the evolution of female characters in Hollywood. Films like Mr. Smith Goes to Washington and The More the Merrier not only showcased her talent, but also her ability to portray women of substance and complexity. Arthur's influence extends beyond the roles she played. Her approach to her career and her life in Hollywood set her apart. Known for her aversion to the limelight and her dedication to her craft, Arthur chose roles that resonated with her personally and professionally, rather than those that would merely elevate her star status. This principled approach to acting, coupled with her natural talent, made her a role model for actresses of her time and for generations to come. Margaret Lockwood's journey through the world of acting was not just a career. It was a rebellion against the conventional, a series of choices that marked her as cinema's captivating contrarian. From her early days on the stage to her reign as the queen of Gainsborough Melodramas, Lockwood defied expectations, choosing roles that challenged and transcended the traditional confines of female characters in British cinema. But what drove her to these choices? Was it a deliberate defiance, a personal inclination, or simply the allure of the complex and the controversial? And how did this contrarian path affect her, both as an actress and as a person living in the relentless spotlight of fame? As we peel back the layers of Margaret Lockwood's illustrious career, we uncover the stories of ambition, passion, and complexity. We delve into her iconic roles, from the virtuous to the villainous, and explore how these characters became inextricably linked with Lockwood's off-screen persona. We trace her journey through the war years, a time that tested her resolve and reshaped her career, and follow her transition to the stage and television, where she continued to captivate audiences with her versatility and depth. This is an homage to Margaret Lockwood, a woman whose legacy in British cinema is as enduring as it is enigmatic. Join us as we explore the life and career of cinema's captivating contrarian, a woman who lived her life with the same intensity and complexity as the characters she brought to life on screen. Prepare to be captivated by the story of Margaret Lockwood, a true icon of British cinema. Early life and ascent to stardom. Margaret Lockwood, born on September 15, 1916, in Karachi, British India, now Pakistan, embarked on a journey that would see her become one of Britain's most beloved film stars. Her early life, marked by a move to London at a young age, laid the foundation for a career that would span decades and ingrain her in the annals of British cinema history. This chapter delves into the formative years of Lockwood's life, her entry into the world of acting, and the pivotal roles that catapulted her to stardom, setting her on a path to becoming cinema's captivating contrarian. Lockwood's interest in acting was nurtured from a young age, influenced by her mother, who encouraged her to pursue her passion for the stage. This support led her to attend the Italia Conti Academy of Theatre Arts in London, where she honed her craft and prepared for a career in acting. Lockwood's early experiences in theater, including her professional debut in 1934 in a production of The Lash, were instrumental in developing her skills and presence as an actress. These formative years in the theater were crucial, providing her with the discipline and versatility that would become hallmarks of her career. Lockwood's transition from the stage to the screen was marked by her film debut in Lorna Doone, 1934, a minor role that nonetheless offered her valuable experience in the burgeoning British film industry. However, it was her performance in The Man in Grey, 1943, that truly marked her ascent to stardom. In this film, part of the Gainsborough Melodramas, Lockwood's portrayal of the malevolent Hester Shaw showcased her ability to captivate audiences with her complex characterizations, setting her apart from her contemporaries. The Man in Grey was a turning point for Lockwood, both professionally and personally. The film's success catapulted her to fame, establishing her as a leading lady in British cinema. It also marked the beginning of her long-standing collaboration with Gainsborough Studios, where she would go on to star in a series of melodramas that capitalized on her unique blend of elegance, intensity, and depth. Films such as Love Story, 1944, and The Wicked Lady, 1945, further solidified her status as a cinematic icon, with Lockwood's performances earning critical acclaim and drawing audiences with their blend of romance, intrigue, and drama. Lockwood's ascent to stardom was not without its challenges. The British film industry, like its Hollywood counterpart, was a male-dominated field, with limited roles for women that often relegated them to secondary status. Lockwood's choice of roles, often strong, complex women who defied societal expectations, was both a reflection of her personal convictions and a strategic career move. By choosing such roles, Lockwood not only challenged the industry's gender norms, but also carved out a niche for herself as an actress capable of delivering powerful performances that resonated with audiences. The Gainsborough Melodramas. Margaret Lockwood's career took a definitive turn with her roles in the Gainsborough Melodramas during the 1940s, a period that not only marked her ascent to stardom, but also saw her becoming the embodiment of a certain kind of on-screen femininity that was both alluring and complex. The Gainsborough Melodramas, known for their lavish costumes, intricate plots, and emotional intensity, provided the perfect backdrop for Lockwood to showcase her range as an actress. This chapter delves into her involvement in these films, focusing on how they shaped her public persona and contributed to her image as cinema's captivating contrarian. The Gainsborough Melodramas were a series of films produced by Gainsborough Pictures, which became immensely popular in wartime Britain. They were characterized by their romantic and often scandalous narratives, which stood in stark contrast to the realities of wartime austerity. Lockwood's roles in these films, particularly in The Man in Grey, 1943, and The Wicked Lady, 1945, catapulted her to the status of a national icon. In The Man in Grey, Lockwood's portrayal of the malevolent Hester Shaw revealed her ability to inhabit morally complex characters, challenging the audience's perceptions and sympathies. Her performance in The Wicked Lady further cemented her status as a leading lady capable of carrying a film with her nuanced portrayal of Barbara Worth, a character driven by passion and ambition. Lockwood's roles in these melodramas were significant for several reasons. Firstly, they allowed her to break away from the more traditional roles assigned to women in British cinema, offering her opportunities to explore characters with depth, agency, and complexity. Secondly, these roles resonated with the British public, who were drawn to the escapism offered by the melodramas. Lockwood's characters, often women who defied societal norms and pursued their desires unabashedly, offered a form of vicarious liberation to audiences confined by the strictures of wartime Britain. The impact of the Gainsborough Melodramas on Lockwood's career was profound. They established her as a versatile actress capable of drawing audiences into the emotional landscapes of her characters. Moreover, these films showcased Lockwood's ability to navigate the dualities of her roles, women who were at once desirable and dangerous, vulnerable and powerful. This complexity made her performances stand out and contributed to her lasting legacy in British cinema. However, Lockwood's association with the melodramas also presented challenges. The typecasting inherent in her success with these films meant that she had to work harder to find roles that allowed her to step outside the melodramatic genre and demonstrate her range as an actress. Despite these challenges, Lockwood's work in the Gainsborough Melodramas remains a testament to her skill, charisma, and enduring appeal as an actress. Iconic roles and performances. Beyond the Gainsborough Melodramas, Lockwood's career was marked by a series of roles that showcased her ability to navigate a wide range of characters, from the ingenue to the femme fatale, each imbued with her unique blend of charisma and complexity. This chapter explores some of Lockwood's most memorable performances, highlighting how these roles contributed to her enduring legacy in British cinema. One of Lockwood's most celebrated roles came early in her career with Alfred Hitchcock's The Lady Vanishes, 1938. In this film, Lockwood played Iris Henderson, a young woman who becomes embroiled in a mystery when a fellow passenger disappears on a train journey across Europe. Lockwood's performance was pivotal to the film's success, blending strength and vulnerability in a way that captivated audiences and critics alike. The Lady Vanishes not only solidified Hitchcock's reputation as a master of suspense, but also demonstrated Lockwood's capacity for leading roles that required a delicate balance of determination and nuance. Following her success in the Gainsborough Melodramas, Lockwood continued to explore complex characters, notably in The Wicked Lady, 1945. Her portrayal of Barbara Worth, a character driven by ambition and desire, was both controversial and compelling, challenging post-war British society's expectations of women. Lockwood's ability to elicit sympathy for an ostensibly immoral character spoke volumes about her skill and presence as an actress. Another significant role was in Jassy, 1947, where Lockwood played a Romany woman endowed with the gift of second sight, accused of witchcraft. This role allowed Lockwood to delve into a character that was both outside the societal norms and rich with emotional depth, further showcasing her range and contributing to the film's success. Lockwood's performances were not confined to the silver screen. Her stage work, particularly in plays such as Peter Pan and Private Lives, demonstrated her versatility and commitment to her craft. These theatrical roles allowed Lockwood to engage with her audience in a more intimate setting, bringing a different dimension to her performances and allowing her to explore the nuances of her characters in real time. Throughout her career, Lockwood navigated the changing landscape of British cinema with grace and adaptability. Her choice of roles reflected not only her personal interests and challenges, but also her keen understanding of the industry and her audience. Lockwood's performances, characterized by their emotional depth and complexity, challenged the conventional portrayals of women on screen, offering audiences a glimpse into the lives of fully realized, multifaceted characters. Margaret Lockwood's iconic roles and performances left an indelible mark on British cinema. Her ability to captivate audiences, coupled with her willingness to explore complex and often controversial characters, cemented her status as one of Britain's most beloved actresses. The Contrarian Persona on and off screen. Margaret Lockwood's public persona was as multifaceted and intriguing as the characters she portrayed on screen. Known for her captivating performances and complex roles, Lockwood also exhibited a strong, independent spirit in her personal life, often making choices that defied the expectations of her time. This chapter delves into Lockwood's off-screen personality, her interactions with the press and public, and how her personal convictions influenced her career and public image. Lockwood's career choices reflected a contrarian streak that set her apart from her contemporaries. She was not content to be pigeonholed into the traditional roles available to women in the film industry of her era. Instead, she sought out and thrived in roles that offered depth and nuance, portraying women who were not just romantic interests or damsels in distress, but complex individuals with their own stories and agency. This approach to her career was indicative of Lockwood's broader views on women's roles in society and the film industry, where she advocated for greater representation and complexity in female characters. Off-screen, Lockwood was known for her wit, intelligence, and a certain degree of privacy. She managed to maintain a balance between her public persona and her private life, a feat in an era when the private lives of film stars were increasingly becoming fodder for public consumption. Lockwood's interactions with the press were marked by a savvy understanding of the power of media, using interviews and public appearances to craft an image that was both accessible and enigmatic. Despite her success and popularity, Lockwood was not immune to the challenges faced by women in the entertainment industry. She navigated the pressures of fame with a pragmatic approach, making strategic decisions that allowed her to pursue the roles she wanted while maintaining a level of control over her career. Her ability to do so was partly due to her talent and partly due to her understanding of the industry's dynamics, which she used to her advantage. Lockwood's personal life, particularly her relationships and role as a mother, also reflected her independent spirit. She was a devoted mother to her daughter, Julia Lockwood, and worked to balance her career with her responsibilities as a parent. This aspect of her life, though less publicized, was an essential part of her identity and influenced her choices in roles and projects. The legacy of Margaret Lockwood's contrarian persona extends beyond her filmography. She was a trailblazer in many ways, challenging the norms of her time and paving the way for future generations of actresses. Her insistence on complex, strong-willed characters helped to broaden the scope of roles available to women in British cinema, contributing to a gradual shift in how female characters were portrayed on screen. Margaret Lockwood's life and career were a study in contrasts. On screen, she was often the epitome of grace and mystery, captivating audiences with her performances. Off-screen, she was a woman of conviction and independence, navigating the complexities of fame and personal life with intelligence and grace. Her persona, both on and off the screen, remains a compelling aspect of her legacy, making her one of British cinema's most enduring and fascinating figure. The war years and beyond. The war years marked a pivotal period in Margaret Lockwood's career, reflecting a time when the entertainment industry was deeply intertwined with the national war effort. Lockwood's roles during this period took on a new dimension, as British cinema sought to boost morale and support the war effort. Post-war, her career transitioned as she embraced new opportunities in television and stage, showcasing her versatility as an actress. During World War II, British cinema played a crucial role in maintaining public morale. Lockwood starred in The Lady Vanishes, 1938, directed by Alfred Hitchcock before the war's outbreak, which became a significant success both in the UK and internationally. However, it was her work in films such as Love Story, 1944, where she played a concert pianist who goes blind, that resonated with wartime audiences. The film, released amidst the backdrop of the war, showcased Lockwood's ability to portray resilience and strength, qualities that mirrored the national sentiment. In 1945, as the war concluded, Lockwood's career continued to flourish with the release of The Wicked Lady, 1945, a film that became one of the highest-grossing British films of the decade. Her portrayal of Barbara Worth, a character who becomes a highwaywoman, captivated post-war audiences, eager for escapism and intrigued by Lockwood's complex portrayal of her character's ambition and defiance. As British cinema transitioned in the post-war years, so did Lockwood's career. The late 1940s and 1950s saw her taking on roles that were reflective of the changing societal attitudes and the film industry's evolution. Films like Highly Dangerous, 1950, where Lockwood played a scientist sent behind the Iron Curtain, showcased her in roles that broke away from traditional stereotypes, aligning with the era's growing interest in spy thrillers and Cold War narratives. Lockwood's transition to television and stage in the 1950s and 1960s marked a new chapter in her career. She embraced the medium of television, appearing in productions such as Justice, 1971 to 1974, a legal drama series that offered her the lead role as Harriet Peterson, a barrister navigating the complexities of law and justice. This role, among others, demonstrated Lockwood's adaptability and continued appeal as an actress, allowing her to reach new audiences and explore different facets of her craft. Her stage work during this period included notable performances in productions such as Peter Pan and Private Lives, where Lockwood's stage presence and performance depth were on full display. These roles allowed her to engage with live audiences, bringing a different dimension to her acting and further solidifying her status as a versatile and skilled performer. The stage and television. In the 1950s, as the allure of cinema began to compete with the rising popularity of television, Lockwood, like many of her contemporaries, explored opportunities in this new medium. Television offered a platform for more intimate storytelling and character development, aspects that played to Lockwood's strengths as an actress known for her depth and nuance. One of her significant television roles came in the early 1970s with the legal drama series Justice. Lockwood starred as Harriet Peterson, a barrister navigating the complexities of the legal system and championing the cause of justice. This role allowed Lockwood to portray a strong, intelligent woman breaking barriers in a male-dominated profession, themes that resonated with her career-long penchant for playing pioneering female characters. Justice ran for several seasons, affirming Lockwood's status as a television star and introducing her to a new generation of viewers. Parallel to her television work, Lockwood's passion for the stage saw a revival. The theater offered her the opportunity to engage with live audiences, bringing an immediacy and energy that differed from her film and television roles. Her stage work included a variety of productions, from classic plays to contemporary dramas, allowing her to explore a range of characters and themes. One notable stage appearance was in the production of Peter Pan, where Lockwood played Mrs. Darling. The role leveraged her maternal warmth and elegance, qualities that had endeared her to film audiences in a setting that highlighted her versatility and stage presence. Another significant stage role was in Noel Coward's Private Lives, where she showcased her comedic timing and ability to capture the complexities of romantic entanglements. The legacy of a contrarian icon. Margaret Lockwood's foray into television and stage during the latter part of her career underscores her adaptability and enduring talent. By embracing these new arenas, she demonstrated a willingness to evolve with the industry and explore the breadth of her abilities as a performer. Her success in television and theater contributed to her legacy as one of Britain's most versatile and beloved actresses, whose career spanned the changing dynamics of the entertainment world. Lockwood's transition from cinema to television and stage also reflects broader trends in the entertainment industry during the mid-20th century, as actors sought to diversify their portfolios and engage with audiences across different mediums. Her ability to maintain relevance and acclaim across cinema, television, and theater is a testament to her skill, dedication, and the indelible mark she left on the performing arts. In the luminous yet shadowy world of Hollywood, where stars shine bright against the night sky, the story of Karen Black unfolds like a captivating screenplay filled with twists and turns, triumphs and trials. Known for her piercing gaze and unparalleled versatility, Karen Black carved a niche for herself in an era that redefined cinema. Yet, beneath the glittering surface of her celebrated career lay a tapestry of untold stories, hidden struggles, and enigmatic truths that fans never knew. Karen Black's journey from an aspiring actress to a cinematic icon of the 70s is a testament to her indomitable spirit and raw talent. But what lies beyond the accolades and the spotlight? From her groundbreaking performances that challenged the norms of her time to her ventures into the realms of writing and music, Karen's life was a mosaic of creativity and complexity. As we peel back the layers of her storied career, we uncover the method behind her magic, revealing the depth of her dedication to her craft. Yet Karen's life was not without its shadows. Personal battles fought away from the public eye, and her role as a mentor and advocate for the arts painted a picture of a woman whose influence extended far beyond the silver screen. A Star is Born. In the heartland of America, in the small town of Park Ridge, Illinois, a star was born on July 1, 1939. Karen Blanche Ziegler, who would later be known to the world as Karen Black, entered life with the kind of spark that presaged her future luminosity in the world of cinema. Raised in a household where creativity was the currency, her mother, a writer of several award-winning children's novels, and her father, a businessman with a penchant for storytelling, imbued in Karen a deep love for the arts from a tender age. Karen's journey to stardom was not a straight path, but a winding road filled with dreams, determination, and a relentless pursuit of expression. Her early years were marked by a sense of adventure and a quest for understanding the human condition, themes that would later permeate her most memorable performances. The family's move to Chicago when Karen was young opened new vistas of opportunity, exposing her to the vibrant theater scene that thrived in the city's heart. The stage became Karen's first love and battleground, where she honed her craft and learned the ropes of acting. Her education at the Goodman Theater School of Drama at the Art Institute of Chicago was not just an academic pursuit, it was a rite of passage. Here, Karen delved into the depths of character development and the nuances of performance, laying the foundation for a career that would defy conventions and challenge perceptions. Yet, the call of Hollywood was irresistible. In the early 1960s, with a heart full of dreams and a suitcase packed with ambition, Karen made the pilgrimage west, joining the ranks of hopefuls in the City of Angels. Los Angeles was a world away from the theaters of Chicago, a place where dreams were both made and shattered. Karen's early days in Hollywood were a test of her resolve, a period of auditions, rejections, and small parts that tested the limits of her perseverance. But Karen Black was not one to be easily dissuaded. Her breakthrough came in a way that seemed almost fated, a serendipitous alignment of talent, timing, and opportunity. It was her role in Francis Ford Coppola's You're a Big Boy Now, 1966, that first turned heads, but it was the seminal year of 1969 that would forever change her trajectory. Her roles in Easy Rider, alongside Peter Fonda and Dennis Hopper, and as Rayette DePesto in 5 Easy Pieces opposite Jack Nicholson, showcased her extraordinary range and raw emotional depth, earning her critical acclaim and a place in the pantheon of new Hollywood icons. The breakthrough. The late 1960s and early 1970s marked a seismic shift in American cinema, a period now revered as the New Hollywood era. It was a time when the film industry underwent a radical transformation, driven by a new generation of filmmakers and actors who dared to push the boundaries of storytelling, character development, and cinematic art. Amidst this cultural revolution, Karen Black emerged as a defining figure, her breakthrough performances resonating with both the zeitgeist of the times and the evolving tastes of the audience. Karen's role in Five Easy Pieces, 1970, a film that has since become emblematic of the New Hollywood movement, was a career-defining moment. Portraying Rayette DePesto, a waitress who embodies the complexities of love, longing, and societal displacement, Karen delivered a performance that was both heart-wrenching and deeply human. Her ability to convey the subtleties of emotion and vulnerability earned her an Academy Award nomination for Best Supporting Actress, cementing her status as one of the era's most talented and versatile actors. This period of Karen's career was marked by a series of roles that showcased her range and depth as an actress. In The Great Gatsby, 1974, she took on the role of Myrtle Wilson, bringing to life the tragic figure with a performance that was both nuanced and powerful. Her portrayal of Myrtle's desperation and doomed aspirations highlighted Karen's skill in capturing the essence of complex characters, further establishing her as a force to be reckoned with in Hollywood. Another significant milestone came with her role in Airport 1975, where Karen played the stewardess Nancy Pryor. In a film that combined disaster movie tropes with human drama, Karen's performance stood out, offering a glimpse into her ability to anchor a film with her presence and emotional depth. This role, among others, demonstrated her versatility and helped solidify her reputation as one of the most reliable and compelling actresses of her time. The method behind the magic. Karen Black's approach to her craft was as unique as the characters she brought to life on screen. Rooted in the method acting technique, her preparation for roles went beyond mere memorization of lines or understanding the script. Karen delved deep into the psyche of her characters, seeking to inhabit their world fully and bring an authenticity to her performances that resonated with audiences and critics alike. Her dedication to the method was evident in the way she approached each role, often spending weeks or even months researching and immersing herself in the character's background, motivations, and emotional landscape. This intense preparation process allowed Karen to deliver performances that were not only compelling, but also deeply human, capturing the complexities and nuances of the characters she portrayed. One of the most striking examples of Karen's method acting came with her role in Five Easy Pieces. To embody Rayette, a character whose dreams and disappointments are palpable throughout the film, Karen spent time in diners, observing and interacting with waitresses to capture the essence of her character's life. Her commitment to authenticity paid off, resulting in a performance that was both powerful and poignant, earning her critical acclaim and an Academy Award nomination. Karen's ability to transform herself for her roles was not limited to dramatic parts. In Trilogy of Terror, 1975, a made-for-television anthology horror film, she showcased her versatility by playing 4 distinct characters, including a tormented college student and a woman terrorized by a Zuni fetish doll. Her performances in this film highlighted her skill in navigating a range of emotions and genres, from terror to despair, further cementing her status as a versatile and talented actress. Behind the magic of Karen Black's performances was a relentless pursuit of truth in her portrayal of characters. Whether it was through meticulous research, physical transformation, or emotional immersion, Karen's method acting technique was a testament to her dedication to her craft and her desire to connect with audiences on a profound level. Her legacy as an actress is not only defined by the roles she played, but also by the depth and authenticity she brought to each character, leaving an indelible mark on the world of cinema. Hidden talents. Karen Black's artistry extended far beyond the silver screen, revealing a woman of multifaceted talents and interests. While audiences around the world knew her as a captivating actress, many were unaware of the depth of her creativity, which flowed through her veins like an unending river, touching the shores of music, writing, and more. Music was one of Karen's most profound hidden talents. With a voice as distinctive as her on-screen presence, she ventured into the world of songwriting and singing with a passion that mirrored her approach to acting. Her album, released in the early 1980s, showcased not just her vocal abilities but also her skill as a songwriter. The songs, imbued with introspective lyrics and melodic tunes, offered listeners a glimpse into the inner world of an artist who found solace and expression in the rhythm and rhymes of music. Karen's literary talents were another aspect of her creative persona that remained largely out of the public eye. A prolific writer, she penned several screenplays and stories, each reflecting her keen observations of the human condition and her deep understanding of emotional complexities. Her writing, much like her performances, was a canvas where she explored themes of love, loss, and the intricacies of human relationships. In addition to her musical and literary endeavors, Karen had a keen interest in photography and painting, mediums through which she captured the beauty and absurdity of the world around her. Her photographs and artworks, though seldom exhibited, were as expressive and evocative as her roles on screen, marked by a unique perspective that was unmistakably Karen. Karen Black's hidden talents were a testament to her boundless creativity and her relentless pursuit of artistic expression. Whether through the chords of a song, the words on a page, or the strokes of a brush, she communicated with a depth and sincerity that resonated with those who had the privilege of experiencing her art. Her legacy, enriched by these diverse talents, stands as a reminder of the profound impact a truly creative spirit can have on the world. The cult icon. Karen Black's journey through Hollywood's ever-changing landscape solidified her status not just as a versatile actress, but as a cult icon whose work resonated deeply within the realms of independent cinema and genre films. Her fearless choice of roles and her unparalleled ability to breathe life into every character she portrayed endeared her to a dedicated fan base that revered her as much for her unconventional choices as for her undeniable talent. The 1970s and 1980s saw Karen embracing roles in films that would later be celebrated as cult classics, further cementing her legacy as an icon of alternative cinema. Her appearance in Trilogy of Terror, 1975, a horror anthology television movie, showcased her exceptional range and ability to captivate audiences with her performance in 3 distinct roles, particularly as the tormented protagonist in the segment featuring the now infamous Zuni fetish doll. This role, among others, contributed to her lasting legacy in the horror genre, making her a beloved figure among horror enthusiasts. Karen's work in Burnt Offerings, 1976, further exemplified her status as a cult icon. In this haunted house thriller, her portrayal of a wife and mother slowly succumbing to the malevolent forces of her family's new home highlighted her skill in navigating the psychological depths of her characters, earning the film a special place in the hearts of horror aficionados. Beyond horror, Karen's roles in independent films and her collaborations with pioneering directors of the time played a significant role in her cult iconography. Her ability to seamlessly transition between genres, from drama to horror to comedy, showcased her versatility and fearless approach to her craft. This adaptability made her a favorite among directors looking for an actress who could bring complexity and authenticity to challenging roles. Personal struggles, public battles. Karen Black's luminous career and diverse artistic pursuits were often shadowed by personal struggles and public battles that tested her resilience and fortitude. Despite the challenges she faced, Karen's spirit remained unbroken, exemplifying her strength and determination to overcome adversity. One of the most significant struggles in Karen's life was her battle with health issues that emerged later in her career. In 2010, Karen was diagnosed with ampullary cancer, a rare form of cancer that affects the bile duct. The diagnosis marked the beginning of a difficult journey, as Karen underwent several medical treatments, including surgery and chemotherapy, in an effort to combat the disease. Her fight against cancer was not only a personal struggle, but also a public battle, as she shared her experiences with her fans and the world, showcasing her vulnerability and humanity. Karen's health battle took a toll on her professionally, as it limited her ability to work and take on new projects. However, her determination to continue acting and her passion for the arts never waned. Even during her treatment, Karen sought to remain active in the creative community, participating in projects as much as her health would allow and continuing to inspire those around her with her resilience. In addition to her health struggles, Karen faced financial difficulties that were exacerbated by her medical expenses. In 2013, her family launched a crowdfunding campaign to help cover the costs of her treatment, revealing the extent of her financial strain. The campaign received an outpouring of support from fans and the film community, highlighting the deep affection and respect that many held for Karen. The mentor. Beyond her roles as an actress, Karen embraced the role of mentor with a generosity and passion that mirrored her approach to her craft. Her dedication to nurturing new talent was a testament to her belief in the transformative power of art and the importance of guidance and support in the creative journey. Karen's mentorship extended across various facets of filmmaking, from acting to writing and directing. She was known for her willingness to share her experiences, offering insights gleaned from decades in a challenging industry. Her advice was not just about the technicalities of acting or the nuances of character development. It was also about navigating the complexities of the film industry, maintaining artistic integrity, and the importance of resilience. One of Karen's most impactful contributions as a mentor was her involvement in workshops and acting classes. Here, she engaged with aspiring actors, providing them with a safe space to explore their abilities and push their boundaries. Karen's teaching style was immersive and hands-on, encouraging students to delve deep into their characters and embrace their vulnerabilities. She believed that true artistry in acting came from a place of honesty and emotional truth, and she guided her students in their pursuit of these ideals. Beyond formal settings, Karen's mentorship was also evident in her everyday interactions with young filmmakers and actors. She was known for her openness and approachability, often taking the time to engage in meaningful conversations with those seeking her advice. Her encouragement and support could be a turning point for many, offering them the confidence to pursue their dreams in an industry that could often seem impenetrable. Karen's impact as a mentor went beyond the technical aspects of filmmaking. She inspired her mentees to approach their art with a sense of purpose and a deep respect for the storytelling process. She emphasized the importance of empathy and emotional intelligence in creating work that resonated with audiences. Her guidance helped shape a new generation of artists, imbuing them with a sense of responsibility to their craft and to the stories they chose to tell. Moreover, Karen's mentorship reflected her broader vision for the film industry, a community where collaboration and mutual support were foundational values. She envisioned a space where creativity was nurtured and diverse voices were celebrated, paving the way for a more inclusive and dynamic cinematic landscape. An unconventional style. Karen Black's style was a vivid reflection of her era's cultural shifts, embodying the spirit of the 1960s and 70s with a distinctive flair that set her apart in Hollywood's fashion landscape. Her approach to fashion was as eclectic and daring as the roles she chose, making her a style icon who defied the conventional norms of celebrity dressing. In the 1970s, when Black's career was at its zenith, fashion was undergoing a radical transformation. The decade celebrated individuality and self-expression with influences ranging from the bohemian to the disco. Karen navigated these trends with an innate sense of style that was both of the moment and timeless. She was often seen in maxi dresses, a staple of 70s fashion, which she styled with her unique twist, incorporating bold prints and unconventional accessories that highlighted her artistic sensibility. Karen's public appearances were marked by her preference for outfits that blended glamour with a touch of the avant-garde. At the 46th Academy Awards in 1974, where she was nominated for her performance in The Great Gatsby, Karen epitomized 70s chic in a black halter neck gown. The simplicity of the dress was offset by her dramatic makeup and hairstyle, showcasing her ability to merge classic Hollywood elegance with the era's more experimental trends. Off the red carpet, Karen's personal style was equally compelling. She was known for her love of vintage clothing, often spotted in secondhand stores searching for unique pieces that she would incorporate into her everyday wardrobe. This penchant for vintage was not just a fashion statement, but a reflection of her broader artistic and environmental values, predating the contemporary movement towards sustainable fashion. Karen's influence on fashion extended beyond her personal style. She was a muse to several designers of the time who were drawn to her unconventional beauty and fearless approach to fashion. Her collaborations with these designers often resulted in groundbreaking looks that captured the imagination of the public and the fashion industry alike. Karen Black's unconventional style was more than just a facet of her public persona. It was an integral part of her identity as an artist and individual. Through her fashion choices, she communicated a sense of freedom, creativity, and defiance that resonated with the cultural zeitgeist of her time and continues to inspire today. The final act. Karen Black's career spanned over 5 decades, during which she became an emblem of versatility and resilience in the entertainment industry. Her final years, however, were marked by a courageous battle with cancer that she faced with the same strength and dignity that characterized her life and work. In 2010, Karen was diagnosed with ampullary cancer, leading to an extensive medical battle that included surgery and chemotherapy. Despite the severity of her condition, she continued to work, showcasing her unwavering dedication to her craft. One of her last film projects was She Loves Me Not, 2013, a testament to her enduring talent and commitment to acting even in the face of adversity. Karen's health struggles became public in 2013 when her husband, Stephen Eckleberry, launched a crowdfunding campaign to help cover the costs of her medical treatments. The campaign highlighted not only the financial challenges faced by many veteran actors, but also the outpouring of support from fans and the film community. This gesture underscored the impact Karen had on her audience and peers, reflecting the deep affection and respect she garnered throughout her career. On August 8, 2013, Karen Black passed away at the age of 74. Her death was mourned by many who had been touched by her performances, her spirit, and her courage. Tributes poured in from across the industry, with colleagues, critics, and fans alike celebrating her contributions to cinema and her role as a trailblazer for women in Hollywood. Karen's legacy is preserved not only through her memorable performances in films like 5 Easy Pieces, The Great Gatsby, and Nashville, but also through her influence on independent cinema and her advocacy for creative expression. She remains a figure of inspiration for her ability to navigate the complexities of fame and personal challenges with grace. Her final act, marked by both personal struggle and professional achievements, serves as a poignant reminder of the human behind the celebrity. Karen Black's story is one of talent, resilience, and the indomitable spirit of an artist who continued to inspire until the very end. On the 16th of February, 1945, in the heart of New York City's illustrious theater district, a relatively unknown Vera Ellen took to the stage of the Music Box Theater, premiering in Laughing Room Only. Little did the audience know they were witnessing the ascent of one of Hollywood's most gifted dancers, a woman whose name would become synonymous with unparalleled grace and agility in the annals of dance and cinema. Yet beneath the spotlight and the applause, the story of Vera Ellen remains a mosaic of hidden truths and lesser-known facts, obscured by the shadow of her more celebrated peers. As she pirouetted through the golden age of Hollywood, Vera Ellen not only etched her legacy in the realms of dance and film, but also left behind a trail of intrigue and mysteries, ripe for discovery. Today we delve into the enigmatic world of Vera Ellen, unearthing 8 facts that shed light on the life of a star who dazzled on screen, but whose true story remains as captivating as her performances. A prodigy in motion. In the vast expanse of America's heartland, amidst the hustle and bustle of Cincinnati, Ohio, a future star was quietly taking her first steps towards an extraordinary journey. Born Vera Ellen Westmeyer Rowe on February 16, 1921, she was destined to become one of Hollywood's most celebrated dancers, her name synonymous with grace, beauty, and unmatched talent. Yet the path from a modest Midwestern upbringing to the glitz and glamour of Hollywood was fraught with challenges, determination, and a relentless pursuit of perfection. From an early age, Vera Ellen displayed an innate passion for dance, a passion that her parents, Martin and Alma Rowe, would nurture, leading her to embark on a journey that would take her far from the familiar streets of Cincinnati. By the tender age of 10, Vera Ellen was already making a name for herself, winning local dance competitions and captivating audiences with her natural talent and poise. Her dedication and hard work paid off when she was accepted into the prestigious Hessler Dance Studio in Cincinnati, a testament to her budding talent and the first significant step in her journey to stardom. The years at Hessler were formative for Vera Ellen, honing her skills in a variety of dance styles, from ballet to tap and beyond. It was here that she began to develop the distinctive style that would later become her hallmark in Hollywood. However, Vera Ellen's ambitions extended far beyond the confines of Cincinnati. Driven by a dream to see her name in lights, she made the bold decision to leave home and head to New York City, the epicenter of entertainment, and a place where she believed her dreams could become a reality. Arriving in New York at the age of 18, Vera Ellen's determination quickly paid dividends. She made her Broadway debut in Very Warm for May in 1939, a performance that, while modest, marked the beginning of her ascent in the world of dance and theater. But it was her role in the Broadway hit By Jupiter in 1942 that truly showcased her talents to a wider audience, earning her critical acclaim and setting the stage for her transition from Broadway to the silver screen. The voice that rarely was heard. In an industry where the spoken word often carries as much weight as the physical expression, Vera Ellen's career stands as a testament to the power of movement over voice. Despite her prominence on the silver screen during Hollywood's golden era, her voice was a rare gem, seldom heard in her films. This chapter delves into the enigma of Vera Ellen's vocal silence, exploring the artistic and personal nuances that contributed to this unique aspect of her career. Vera Ellen's transition from Broadway to Hollywood in the early 1940s marked the beginning of a cinematic journey defined by dazzling dance sequences and visual spectacle. However, unlike many of her contemporaries who showcased their talents through both song and dance, Vera Ellen's voice was notably absent from her most iconic performances. This was not due to a lack of talent or versatility, but rather a reflection of the era's cinematic trends and the specific roles she embodied. One of the pivotal moments in this narrative occurred during the production of White Christmas in 1954, a film that remains a beloved classic to this day. Despite being a musical, Vera Ellen's singing parts were dubbed by other artists, a common practice at the time for actors whose vocal strengths were deemed less than their co-stars. This decision by the filmmakers was not a reflection on her abilities, but rather a strategic choice to match the musical style of the film. The reasons behind the dubbing of Vera Ellen's voice in her musical films are multifaceted. Firstly, the studio system often prioritized a uniform sound that could be easily marketed, leading to the employment of professional singers to dub the voices of actors. Secondly, Vera Ellen's primary identity in Hollywood was that of a dancer, and her roles were crafted to highlight her extraordinary talents in ballet, tap, and jazz, often sidelining her vocal performance. Despite the rarity of her voice in films, Vera Ellen's silence speaks volumes about her dedication to her craft. She understood that her strength lay in her ability to convey emotion, narrative, and character through movement. Her performances transcended the need for vocal expression, allowing audiences to focus on the visual poetry of her dance. The decision to let her dance do the talking did not diminish Vera Ellen's impact on Hollywood or her audience. Instead, it solidified her status as a dance icon, a woman whose physical articulation was so powerful that it rendered words unnecessary. Her legacy, therefore, is not one of silence, but of a voice expressed through the universal language of dance, resonating with audiences even in the absence of spoken words. Vera Ellen's choice to focus on dance over voice in her film career is a reminder of the diverse forms of expression in the arts. It challenges the conventional norms of musical cinema and highlights the importance of embracing one's strengths. In Vera Ellen's case, her voice, though rarely heard, was profoundly felt in every step, leap, and twirl, leaving an indelible mark on the history of film and dance. A pioneer of dance styles, Vera Ellen's impact on the dance world transcends her performances. She was instrumental in introducing and popularizing a variety of dance styles to Hollywood's silver screen. Her career, blossoming in the 1940s and extending through the 1950s, was marked by a series of performances that not only showcased her versatility as a dancer, but also her role as a pioneer in the integration of diverse dance forms into cinema. In 1945, Vera Ellen made her Hollywood debut in Wonder Man, a film that allowed her to showcase a range of dance styles from ballet to ballroom. However, it was her subsequent roles that firmly established her as a trailblazer in dance. Her performance in On the Town, 1949, alongside Gene Kelly and Frank Sinatra, is particularly notable. In this film, Vera Ellen brought a blend of balletic grace and modern dance energy to the big screen, contributing to one of the first movie musicals to be shot on location in New York City. This approach not only highlighted her dance skills, but also demonstrated how dance could be integrated into the narrative, enhancing the realism and dynamism of the film. Another landmark in her career was The Belle of New York, 1952, where she starred opposite Fred Astaire. In this film, Vera Ellen and Astaire performed a series of complex dance numbers that incorporated elements of jazz and tap, showcasing her ability to adapt and excel across different dance genres. Their performance in the Seeing's Believing number is often cited as a masterpiece of cinematic dance, featuring a blend of technical precision and effortless charm that has become emblematic of Vera Ellen's legacy. Beyond her versatility, Vera Ellen was known for her rigorous dedication to her craft. Her commitment to perfection and her relentless pursuit of innovation in dance left a lasting impact on her peers and the generations that followed. Dancers and choreographers in Hollywood and beyond have cited her influence in their work, noting her contributions to the evolution of dance and film. Vera Ellen's pioneering role in dance was not limited to her on-screen performances. Behind the scenes, she worked closely with choreographers, including the legendary Robert Alton, to craft sequences that pushed the boundaries of what was possible in film dance. Her collaboration with these choreographers not only highlighted her skills, but also her creative vision, making her an integral part of the choreographic process. Through her films, Vera Ellen introduced audiences worldwide to a fusion of dance styles, from the classical elegance of ballet to the vibrant rhythms of jazz and tap. Her work helped to broaden the scope of dance in cinema, making it more accessible and engaging for audiences and inspiring a new generation of dancers and choreographers. Vera Ellen's contributions to dance in Hollywood were marked by a series of firsts. She was among the first to blend classical ballet with modern dance in a cinematic context, and her performances helped to elevate dance from mere entertainment to an essential storytelling tool in film. Her legacy, therefore, is not just in the roles she played, but in her enduring influence on the art of dance in cinema, an influence that continues to resonate in the industry today. The secret struggles. One of the most significant struggles Vera Ellen faced was her battle with anorexia nervosa, a disorder scarcely recognized or understood during her time. The pressures of maintaining a dancer's physique, combined with the rigorous demands of her profession and the aesthetic standards of the era, exacerbated her condition. By the 1950s, during the zenith of her career, the effects of her eating disorder became more visible, prompting concern and speculation among audiences and peers alike. Yet, the lack of awareness and conversation around mental health and eating disorders during that period meant Vera Ellen faced her challenges with little support or understanding from the broader public and industry. Beyond her health struggles, Vera Ellen's life was touched by deep personal loss. Her marriage to Robert Hightower ended in divorce, and she later married wealthy businessman Victor Rothschild. Though her second marriage brought some stability, it was marred by tragedy with the loss of their daughter, Victoria Ellen, to sudden infant death syndrome, SIDS, in 1963. This devastating event plunged Vera Ellen into profound grief, impacting her both personally and professionally as she withdrew further from the Hollywood scene. As Vera Ellen contended with her personal demons, her professional life also faced challenges. The transition from the golden age of musical cinema to new entertainment forms saw a decline in the demand for the kind of dance-centric films that had been her forte. The changing landscape of Hollywood, combined with her health and personal issues, led to a sense of professional isolation, despite her significant contributions to the industry. Despite these struggles, Vera Ellen's legacy in dance and film remains undisputed. Her technical proficiency, combined with a profound expressive capability, set her apart as one of the era's most talented performers. However, the silence around her personal battles during her lifetime and the years following her death on August 30th, 1981, underscores the often overlooked human aspect behind the glitz and glamour of Hollywood stardom. The costume mystery. Vera Ellen's career in Hollywood was as much a visual feast as it was a showcase of talent, with her costumes playing a pivotal role in her on-screen persona. Known for her slender frame and elegant neck, a particular mystery that has fascinated fans and historians alike revolves around her wardrobe choices in later films, notably in the iconic White Christmas, 1954. Throughout this film and subsequent appearances, Vera Ellen was consistently seen wearing high-necked dresses and gowns, a choice that sparked speculation and rumors about the reasons behind such a distinctive style. Some have suggested that this was due to the actress's desire to conceal a prematurely aging neck, a physical trait that she was purportedly self-conscious about. This theory was further fueled by whispers of her battle with anorexia, which some believed had taken a toll on her physical appearance, compelling her to hide her neck. However, contrary to the rumors, those close to Vera Ellen and costume designers who worked with her have offered alternative explanations, emphasizing her love for fashion and her active involvement in the selection and design of her costumes. Her preference for high-necked attire was, by some accounts, a stylistic choice, reflective of her taste and the elegance she brought to her roles. Vera Ellen's collaboration with renowned costume designers, including Edith Head, who worked on White Christmas, suggests a mutual desire to create looks that were both flattering and functional, allowing her the freedom to perform complex dance routines without constraint. The speculation surrounding Vera Ellen's costume choices underscores the broader fascination with her life and career, blending the on-screen glamour with the off-screen mysteries. While the truth behind the high-necked costume mystery remains a topic of debate, it highlights the enduring interest in Vera Ellen's legacy, not just as a dancer and actress, but as a fashion icon of her time. The Lost Love. Vera Ellen's personal life, much like the roles she embodied with grace and vivacity on screen, was intertwined with profound love stories marked by both their depth and their eventual heartache. Among these, her marriage to fellow dancer Robert Hightower in 1941 stands as a poignant chapter in her life, embodying a union of shared dreams and aspirations within the dance world. This relationship, blossoming from their mutual passion for dance, promised a partnership of both personal and professional fulfillment. Their marriage, however, unfolded during a time when Vera Ellen's career was on a precipitous ascent. By the mid-1940s, particularly after her standout performances in On the Town, 1949, and her subsequent rise in Hollywood, the demands of fame began to exert pressure on their relationship. The couple navigated the challenges that came with Vera Ellen's increasing commitments and public scrutiny, a journey that tested the resilience of their bond. In 1945, amidst the glittering yet relentless pace of Hollywood, Vera Ellen and Robert Hightower's marriage faced its ultimate test. The year marked a turning point, not just in Vera Ellen's career, but in her personal life as well. Despite their efforts to sustain their relationship, the couple parted ways, their divorce finalizing in a time when Vera Ellen's star was shining its brightest. This period was a testament to the often unseen sacrifices behind the camera, where personal relationships were sometimes collateral in the pursuit of cinematic greatness. The end of her marriage to Hightower was a loss that Vera Ellen felt deeply, a chapter that closed with lingering questions about what might have been. Yet, her capacity to find love anew was evident in her subsequent marriage to Victor Rothschild in 1954. This relationship offered a semblance of stability and a new beginning, highlighting Vera Ellen's resilience and her enduring hope for personal happiness beyond the shadows of her lost love. However, tragedy struck again with the untimely death of her daughter with Rothschild, a devastating blow that left an indelible mark on Vera Ellen's life. The loss of her child was a sorrow that no acclaim or applause could mollify, a stark reminder of the vulnerabilities that lay beneath the surface of her public persona. Hollywood's best-kept secret. In the late 1940s, specifically around 1949, following her acclaimed performance in On the Town, Vera Ellen quietly embarked on a journey that would see her influencing the dance community behind the scenes. Known for her on-screen partnerships with icons like Gene Kelly and Fred Astaire, Vera Ellen's public persona was synonymous with her physical prowess and unmatched grace. However, beyond the camera's gaze, she was instrumental in fostering talent and advocating for the arts, particularly ballet, in a period when popular culture was rapidly evolving. Vera Ellen's passion for dance extended beyond her own career aspirations. She was deeply committed to the education and promotion of dance as an art form. Utilizing her resources and connections within the industry, she played a pivotal role in the establishment of scholarship programs aimed at nurturing young talent. While specific names and dates of these programs are not widely documented, her involvement in philanthropic efforts within the arts community during the early 1950s marked a significant yet understated chapter of her life. Moreover, Vera Ellen's influence was felt in the push for incorporating more intricate and technically demanding dance sequences in film, challenging both performers and choreographers to elevate the standard of dance in cinema. Her advocacy for dance as a serious and respected art form contributed to a gradual shift in how dance was perceived in Hollywood and beyond. Despite her contributions, Vera Ellen's efforts in this arena remained largely unrecognized, overshadowed by her on-screen achievements and personal struggles. It wasn't until years after her retirement from the screen and subsequent passing on August 30th, 1981, that the depth of her impact began to be fully appreciated. The Dancer's Last Stand. Vera Ellen's final notable appearance on the big screen in Let's Be Happy, 1957, marked a poignant conclusion to a dazzling career that had spanned over 2 decades. By this time, Vera Ellen had established herself as one of the premier dancers of Hollywood's golden age, known for her versatility and technical skill. Let's Be Happy, a Technicolor musical that showcased Vera Ellen's dancing prowess, served as a fitting farewell to a woman who had dedicated her life to the art of dance. This film, while not as commercially successful or critically acclaimed as her earlier works, offered audiences one last opportunity to witness Vera Ellen's talent. Despite the changing dynamics of Hollywood and the evolving tastes of cinema audiences, Vera Ellen's performance in Let's Be Happy was a testament to her enduring dedication to her craft. After Let's Be Happy, Vera Ellen gradually retreated from the public eye. The shift away from musicals and cinema, combined with personal challenges, led her to make the decision to step back from her career in Hollywood. She focused instead on her personal life and her health, which had been compromised by her struggles with anorexia and the loss of her daughter. Vera Ellen's legacy, however, remained undiminished. Her influence on the world of dance and cinema continues to be celebrated by fans and historians alike. Her contributions to the art of dance in film are remembered for their innovation, beauty, and the sheer joy they brought to audiences around the world. In the luminous yet shadowy world of Hollywood, where stars shine bright against the night sky, the story of Karen Black unfolds like a captivating screenplay filled with twists and turns, triumphs and trials. Known for her piercing gaze and unparalleled versatility, Karen Black carved a niche for herself in an era that redefined cinema. Yet, beneath the glittering surface of her celebrated career lay a tapestry of untold stories, hidden struggles, and enigmatic truths that fans never knew. Karen Black's journey from an aspiring actress to a cinematic icon of the 70s is a testament to her indomitable spirit and raw talent. But what lies beyond the accolades and the spotlight? From her groundbreaking performances that challenged the norms of her time to her ventures into the realms of writing and music, Karen's life was a mosaic of creativity and complexity. As we peel back the layers of her storied career, we uncover the method behind her magic, revealing the depth of her dedication to her craft. Yet Karen's life was not without its shadows. Personal battles fought away from the public eye, and her role as a mentor and advocate for the arts painted a picture of a woman whose influence extended far beyond the silver screen. A Star is Born. In the heartland of America, in the small town of Park Ridge, Illinois, a star was born on July 1, 1939. Karen Blanche Ziegler, who would later be known to the world as Karen Black, entered life with the kind of spark that presaged her future luminosity in the world of cinema. Raised in a household where creativity was the currency, her mother, a writer of several award-winning children's novels, and her father, a businessman with a penchant for storytelling, imbued in Karen a deep love for the arts from a tender age. Karen's journey to stardom was not a straight path, but a winding road filled with dreams, determination, and a relentless pursuit of expression. Her early years were marked by a sense of adventure and a quest for understanding the human condition, themes that would later permeate her most memorable performances. The family's move to Chicago when Karen was young opened new vistas of opportunity, exposing her to the vibrant theater scene that thrived in the city's heart. The stage became Karen's first love and battleground, where she honed her craft and learned the ropes of acting. Her education at the Goodman Theater School of Drama at the Art Institute of Chicago was not just an academic pursuit, it was a rite of passage. Here, Karen delved into the depths of character development and the nuances of performance, laying the foundation for a career that would defy conventions and challenge perceptions. Yet, the call of Hollywood was irresistible. In the early 1960s, with a heart full of dreams and a suitcase packed with ambition, Karen made the pilgrimage west, joining the ranks of hopefuls in the city of angels. Los Angeles was a world away from the theaters of Chicago, a place where dreams were both made and shattered. Karen's early days in Hollywood were a test of her resolve, a period of auditions, rejections, and small parts that tested the limits of her perseverance. But Karen Black was not one to be easily dissuaded. Her breakthrough came in a way that seemed almost fated, a serendipitous alignment of talent, timing, and opportunity. It was her role in Francis Ford Coppola's You're a Big Boy Now, 1966, that first turned heads, but it was the seminal year of 1969 that would forever change her trajectory. Her roles in Easy Rider, alongside Peter Fonda and Dennis Hopper, and as Rayette DePesto in 5 Easy Pieces opposite Jack Nicholson, showcased her extraordinary range and raw emotional depth, earning her critical acclaim and a place in the pantheon of new Hollywood icons. The breakthrough. The late 1960s and early 1970s marked a seismic shift in American cinema, a period now revered as the New Hollywood era. It was a time when the film industry underwent a radical transformation, driven by a new generation of filmmakers and actors who dared to push the boundaries of storytelling, character development, and cinematic art. Amidst this cultural revolution, Karen Black emerged as a defining figure, her breakthrough performances resonating with both the zeitgeist of the times and the evolving tastes of the audience. Karen's role in 5 Easy Pieces, 1970, a film that has since become emblematic of the New Hollywood movement, was a career-defining moment. Portraying Rayette DePesto, a waitress who embodies the complexities of love, longing, and societal displacement, Karen delivered a performance that was both heart-wrenching and deeply human. Her ability to convey the subtleties of emotion and vulnerability earned her an Academy Award nomination for Best Supporting Actress, cementing her status as one of the era's most talented and versatile actors. This period of Karen's career was marked by a series of roles that showcased her range and depth as an actress. In The Great Gatsby, 1974, she took on the role of Myrtle Wilson, bringing to life the tragic figure with a performance that was both nuanced and powerful. Her portrayal of Myrtle's desperation and doomed aspirations highlighted Karen's skill in capturing the essence of complex characters, further establishing her as a force to be reckoned with in Hollywood. Another significant milestone came with her role in Airport 1975, where Karen played the stewardess Nancy Pryor. In a film that combined disaster movie tropes with human drama, Karen's performance stood out, offering a glimpse into her ability to anchor a film with her presence and emotional depth. This role, among others, demonstrated her versatility and helped solidify her reputation as one of the most reliable and compelling actresses of her time. The method behind the magic. Karen Black's approach to her craft was as unique as the characters she brought to life on screen. Rooted in the method acting technique, her preparation for roles went beyond mere memorization of lines or understanding the script. Karen delved deep into the psyche of her characters, seeking to inhabit their world fully and bring an authenticity to her performances that resonated with audiences and critics alike. Her dedication to the method was evident in the way she approached each role, often spending weeks or even months researching and immersing herself in the character's background, motivations, and emotional landscape. This intense preparation process allowed Karen to deliver performances that were not only compelling, but also deeply human, capturing the complexities and nuances of the characters she portrayed. One of the most striking examples of Karen's method acting came with her role in 5 Easy Pieces. To embody Rayette, a character whose dreams and disappointments are palpable throughout the film, Karen spent time in diners, observing and interacting with waitresses to capture the essence of her character's life. Her commitment to authenticity paid off, resulting in a performance that was both powerful and poignant, earning her critical acclaim and an Academy Award nomination. Karen's ability to transform herself for her roles was not limited to dramatic parts. In Trilogy of Terror, 1975, a made-for-television anthology horror film, she showcased her versatility by playing 4 distinct characters, including a tormented college student and a woman terrorized by a Zuni fetish doll. Her performances in this film highlighted her skill in navigating a range of emotions and genres, from terror to despair, further cementing her status as a versatile and talented actress. Behind the magic of Karen Black's performances was a relentless pursuit of truth in her portrayal of characters. Whether it was through meticulous research, physical transformation, or emotional immersion, Karen's method acting technique was a testament to her dedication to her craft and her desire to connect with audiences on a profound level. Her legacy as an actress is not only defined by the roles she played, but also by the depth and authenticity she brought to each character, leaving an indelible mark on the world of cinema. Hidden talents. Karen Black's artistry extended far beyond the silver screen, revealing a woman of multifaceted talents and interests. While audiences around the world knew her as a captivating actress, many were unaware of the depth of her creativity, which flowed through her veins like an unending river, touching the shores of music, writing, and more. Music was one of Karen's most profound hidden talents. With a voice as distinctive as her on-screen presence, she ventured into the world of songwriting and singing with a passion that mirrored her approach to acting. Her album, released in the early 1980s, showcased not just her vocal abilities but also her skill as a songwriter. The songs, imbued with introspective lyrics and melodic tunes, offered listeners a glimpse into the inner world of an artist who found solace and expression in the rhythm and rhymes of music. Karen's literary talents were another aspect of her creative persona that remained largely out of the public eye. A prolific writer, she penned several screenplays and stories, each reflecting her keen observations of the human condition and her deep understanding of emotional complexities. Her writing, much like her performances, was a canvas where she explored themes of love, loss, and the intricacies of human relationships. In addition to her musical and literary endeavors, Karen had a keen interest in photography and painting, mediums through which she captured the beauty and absurdity of the world around her. Her photographs and artworks, though seldom exhibited, were as expressive and evocative as her roles on screen, marked by a unique perspective that was unmistakably Karen. Karen Black's hidden talents were a testament to her boundless creativity and her relentless pursuit of artistic expression. Whether through the chords of a song, the words on a page, or the strokes of a brush, she communicated with a depth and sincerity that resonated with those who had the privilege of experiencing her art. Her legacy, enriched by these diverse talents, stands as a reminder of the profound impact a truly creative spirit can have on the world. The cult icon. Karen Black's journey through Hollywood's ever-changing landscape solidified her status not just as a versatile actress, but as a cult icon whose work resonated deeply within the realms of independent cinema and genre films. Her fearless choice of roles and her unparalleled ability to breathe life into every character she portrayed endeared her to a dedicated fan base that revered her as much for her unconventional choices as for her undeniable talent. The 1970s and 1980s saw Karen embracing roles in films that would later be celebrated as cult classics, further cementing her legacy as an icon of alternative cinema. Her appearance in Trilogy of Terror, 1975, a horror anthology television movie, showcased her exceptional range and ability to captivate audiences with her performance in 3 distinct roles, particularly as the tormented protagonist in the segment featuring the now infamous Zuni fetish doll. This role, among others, contributed to her lasting legacy in the horror genre, making her a beloved figure among horror enthusiasts. Karen's work in Burnt Offerings, 1976, further exemplified her status as a cult icon. In this haunted house thriller, her portrayal of a wife and mother slowly succumbing to the malevolent forces of her family's new home highlighted her skill in navigating the psychological depths of her characters, earning the film a special place in the hearts of horror aficionados. Beyond horror, Karen's roles in independent films and her collaborations with pioneering directors of the time played a significant role in her cult iconography. Her ability to seamlessly transition between genres, from drama to horror to comedy, showcased her versatility and fearless approach to her craft. This adaptability made her a favorite among directors looking for an actress who could bring complexity and authenticity to challenging roles. Personal struggles, public battles. Karen Black's luminous career and diverse artistic pursuits were often shadowed by personal struggles and public battles that tested her resilience and fortitude. Despite the challenges she faced, Karen's spirit remained unbroken, exemplifying her strength and determination to overcome adversity. One of the most significant struggles in Karen's life was her battle with health issues that emerged later in her career. In 2010, Karen was diagnosed with ampullary cancer, a rare form of cancer that affects the bile duct. The diagnosis marked the beginning of a difficult journey, as Karen underwent several medical treatments, including surgery and chemotherapy, in an effort to combat the disease. Her fight against cancer was not only a personal struggle, but also a public battle, as she shared her experiences with her fans and the world, showcasing her vulnerability and humanity. Karen's health battle took a toll on her professionally, as it limited her ability to work and take on new projects. However, her determination to continue acting and her passion for the arts never waned. Even during her treatment, Karen sought to remain active in the creative community, participating in projects as much as her health would allow and continuing to inspire those around her with her resilience. In addition to her health struggles, Karen faced financial difficulties that were exacerbated by her medical expenses. In 2013, her family launched a crowdfunding campaign to help cover the costs of her treatment, revealing the extent of her financial strain. The campaign received an outpouring of support from fans and the film community, highlighting the deep affection and respect that many held for Karen. The mentor. Beyond her roles as an actress, Karen embraced the role of mentor with a generosity and passion that mirrored her approach to her craft. Her dedication to nurturing new talent was a testament to her belief in the transformative power of art and the importance of guidance and support in the creative journey. Karen's mentorship extended across various facets of filmmaking, from acting to writing and directing. She was known for her willingness to share her experiences, offering insights gleaned from decades in a challenging industry. Her advice was not just about the technicalities of acting or the nuances of character development. It was also about navigating the complexities of the film industry, maintaining artistic integrity, and the importance of resilience. One of Karen's most impactful contributions as a mentor was her involvement in workshops and acting classes. Here, she engaged with aspiring actors, providing them with a safe space to explore their abilities and push their boundaries. Karen's teaching style was immersive and hands-on, encouraging students to delve deep into their characters and embrace their vulnerabilities. She believed that true artistry in acting came from a place of honesty and emotional truth, and she guided her students in their pursuit of these ideals. Beyond formal settings, Karen's mentorship was also evident in her everyday interactions with young filmmakers and actors. She was known for her openness and approachability, often taking the time to engage in meaningful conversations with those seeking her advice. Her encouragement and support could be a turning point for many, offering them the confidence to pursue their dreams in an industry that could often seem impenetrable. Karen's impact as a mentor went beyond the technical aspects of filmmaking. She inspired her mentees to approach their art with a sense of purpose and a deep respect for the storytelling process. She emphasized the importance of empathy and emotional intelligence in creating work that resonated with audiences. Her guidance helped shape a new generation of artists, imbuing them with a sense of responsibility to their craft and to the stories they chose to tell. Moreover, Karen's mentorship reflected her broader vision for the film industry, a community where collaboration and mutual support were foundational values. She envisioned a space where creativity was nurtured and diverse voices were celebrated, paving the way for a more inclusive and dynamic cinematic landscape. An unconventional style. Karen Black's style was a vivid reflection of her era's cultural shifts, embodying the spirit of the 1960s and 70s with a distinctive flair that set her apart in Hollywood's fashion landscape. Her approach to fashion was as eclectic and daring as the roles she chose, making her a style icon who defied the conventional norms of celebrity dressing. In the 1970s, when Black's career was at its zenith, fashion was undergoing a radical transformation. The decade celebrated individuality and self-expression with influences ranging from the bohemian to the disco. Karen navigated these trends with an innate sense of style that was both of the moment and timeless. She was often seen in maxi dresses, a staple of 70s fashion, which she styled with her unique twist, incorporating bold prints and unconventional accessories that highlighted her artistic sensibility. Karen's public appearances were marked by her preference for outfits that blended glamour with a touch of the avant-garde. At the 46th Academy Awards in 1974, where she was nominated for her performance in The Great Gatsby, Karen epitomized 70s chic in a black halter neck gown. The simplicity of the dress was offset by her dramatic makeup and hairstyle, showcasing her ability to merge classic Hollywood elegance with the era's more experimental trends. Off the red carpet, Karen's personal style was equally compelling. She was known for her love of vintage clothing, often spotted in secondhand stores searching for unique pieces that she would incorporate into her everyday wardrobe. This penchant for vintage was not just a fashion statement, but a reflection of her broader artistic and environmental values, predating the contemporary movement towards sustainable fashion. Karen's influence on fashion extended beyond her personal style. She was a muse to several designers of the time who were drawn to her unconventional beauty and fearless approach to fashion. Her collaborations with these designers often resulted in groundbreaking looks that captured the imagination of the public and the fashion industry alike. Karen Black's unconventional style was more than just a facet of her public persona. It was an integral part of her identity as an artist and individual. Through her fashion choices, she communicated a sense of freedom, creativity, and defiance that resonated with the cultural zeitgeist of her time and continues to inspire today. The final act. Karen Black's career spanned over 5 decades, during which she became an emblem of versatility and resilience in the entertainment industry. Her final years, however, were marked by a courageous battle with cancer that she faced with the same strength and dignity that characterized her life and work. In 2010, Karen was diagnosed with ampullary cancer, leading to an extensive medical battle that included surgery and chemotherapy. Despite the severity of her condition, she continued to work, showcasing her unwavering dedication to her craft. One of her last film projects was She Loves Me Not, 2013, a testament to her enduring talent and commitment to acting even in the face of adversity. Karen's health struggles became public in 2013 when her husband, Stephen Eckleberry, launched a crowdfunding campaign to help cover the costs of her medical treatments. The campaign highlighted not only the financial challenges faced by many veteran actors, but also the outpouring of support from fans and the film community. This gesture underscored the impact Karen had on her audience and peers, reflecting the deep affection and respect she garnered throughout her career. On August 8, 2013, Karen Black passed away at the age of 74. Her death was mourned by many who had been touched by her performances, her spirit, and her courage. Tributes poured in from across the industry, with colleagues, critics, and fans alike celebrating her contributions to cinema and her role as a trailblazer for women in Hollywood. Karen's legacy is preserved not only through her memorable performances in films like 5 Easy Pieces, The Great Gatsby, and Nashville, but also through her influence on independent cinema and her advocacy for creative expression. She remains a figure of inspiration for her ability to navigate the complexities of fame and personal challenges with grace. Her final act, marked by both personal struggle and professional achievements, serves as a poignant reminder of the human behind the celebrity. Karen Black's story is one of talent, resilience, and the indomitable spirit of an artist who continued to inspire until the very end. Beneath the shimmering surface of Hollywood's golden age, a labyrinth of secrets and scandals lay hidden. Among the glittering stars and cinematic masterpieces, the private lives of Tinseltown's finest were often shrouded in mystery and intrigue. But sometimes the veil would slip, revealing tales so unexpected and controversial, they seemed ripped from the pages of a screenplay. Take, for instance, the luminous Ava Gardner, whose tumultuous love affair with Frank Sinatra captivated the public. Or the legendary Spencer Tracy, whose off-screen life was as complex and compelling as his on-screen performances. These were not isolated incidents, but part of a larger narrative, a tapestry woven with hidden liaisons, secret children, and forbidden love. In this video, we peel back the curtain on Hollywood's most closely guarded secrets, the children born out of the spotlight, away from the prying eyes of the press and the public. From the whispered rumors of clandestine pregnancies to the undeniable truths that emerged years later, these stories reveal a different side of the stars we thought we knew. We'll explore the lives of those who grew up in the shadows of fame, their existences marked by a legacy they had no part in choosing. These are not just tales of scandal and sensation, but of real people searching for identity and belonging in the aftermath of decisions made long before their time. The early days of Hollywood. In the nascent days of Hollywood, a burgeoning film industry began to cast its first shadows on the silver screen, giving rise to a new breed of American royalty, the movie star. This era, marked by the silent film age and the transition to talkies, was a time of innovation, glamour, and boundless possibilities. Yet, beneath its glittering surface, the personal lives of its stars were often mired in complexity and secrecy, particularly when it came to matters of the heart and family. One of the most emblematic figures of this era was Clara Bow, known as the It Girl, who embodied the carefree, vivacious spirit of the Roaring Twenties. Bow's on-screen persona captivated millions, but her off-screen life was fraught with challenges, not least of which were the rumors that swirled around her personal relationships and the children she was rumored to have had out of wedlock. While no concrete evidence exists to confirm these children, the speculation around Bow's private life underscores the intense scrutiny and moral policing faced by female stars of the time. The early Hollywood studio system, with its rigid control over actors' images and personal lives, played a significant role in shaping the narrative around its stars. Studios went to great lengths to craft public personas for their actors that aligned with the moral standards of the day, often at the expense of the stars' true selves. This led to a culture of secrecy and double lives, where stars like Bow were forced to navigate their personal affairs in the shadows, away from the prying eyes of the press and moral watchdogs. The case of Bow is not isolated. Other stars of the era, such as Louise Brooks and Alma Rubens, faced similar challenges. Brooks, known for her iconic role in Pandora's Box, and Rubens, a silent film actress whose career was marred by addiction, both had rumored affairs and children out of wedlock. These stories, often buried beneath layers of studio-manufactured publicity, reveal a pattern of hidden relationships and the lengths to which stars went to maintain their public image. The societal norms of the early 20th century, which stigmatized children born outside of marriage, added another layer of complexity to these situations. The children of these liaisons, if they existed, were often raised in secrecy or given up for adoption, their paternity shrouded in mystery. This practice was not limited to Hollywood, but was reflective of broader societal attitudes towards illegitimacy and the sanctity of the traditional family unit. The impact of these hidden relationships and their resulting offspring rippled through the lives of those involved. For the stars, it meant a constant balancing act between their public personas and private realities, often leading to personal turmoil and, in some cases, the end of careers. For the children, it meant growing up with a secret legacy, their identities shaped by the circumstances of their birth and the societal stigma attached to it. The studio system's secrets. In the golden age of Hollywood, the studio system wielded unparalleled influence over the careers and personal lives of its stars. This era, characterized by its tight control over the public images of actors, also bore witness to one of the most poignant and carefully concealed stories of illicit love and hidden lineage, the story of Loretta Young, Clark Gable, and their daughter, Judy Lewis. Loretta Young, an actress of ethereal beauty and profound talent, was a prominent figure in Hollywood's studio system. Her career spanned from silent films through the golden age of cinema, earning her critical acclaim and a devout following. Clark Gable, known as the King of Hollywood, was the epitome of masculine charm and one of the era's most bankable stars. Their paths crossed professionally on the set of The Call of the Wild in 1935, leading to an affair that would become one of Hollywood's most closely guarded secrets. The affair resulted in Young's pregnancy, a situation fraught with potential scandal that could have ended both actors' careers. In an era when the moral clauses in studio contracts dictated the personal lives of Hollywood stars, Young's pregnancy was a ticking time bomb. With meticulous planning and the complicity of a few trusted individuals, Young disappeared from the public eye, citing illness, while she was, in fact, pregnant. Judy Lewis was born on November 6, 1935, in Venice, California. To protect her and Gable's careers and maintain her public image, Young placed Judy in an orphanage, only to adopt her months later in a well-orchestrated move designed to avoid scandal. This act of subterfuge was a testament to the lengths stars had to go to preserve their standing in the unforgiving Hollywood landscape. Judy grew up unaware of her true parentage. Although rumors and whispers followed her throughout her childhood and adolescence, the resemblance to Gable was undeniable, with her ears being a particularly telling feature, leading Young to have Judy undergo surgery to make them less prominent. Despite these measures, the truth about Judy's father remained an open secret in Hollywood, known by many but publicly acknowledged by none. The relationship between Young and her daughter was complex and fraught with unspoken truths. It wasn't until Judy was an adult that Young confirmed her father's identity, a revelation that reshaped Judy's understanding of her own identity and her place in the world. The impact of this secret on Lewis was profound, affecting her sense of self and her relationships with both her mother and the father she never knew. Love affairs in the spotlight. The story of Ingrid Bergman and Roberto Rossellini is a tale of passion, art, and scandal that shook the foundations of Hollywood's golden age and challenged the moral compass of the era. Bergman, a Swedish actress renowned for her luminous beauty and profound talent, had captivated American audiences with her performances in films such as Casablanca and Gaslight, for which she won her first Academy Award. Rossellini, an Italian film director, was a leading figure in the neorealism movement, known for his raw and authentic portrayal of post-war Italy. Their union was not just a merging of two cinematic worlds, but also a love affair that defied conventions and sparked international controversy. Their story began in the late 1940s when Bergman, then married to Dr. Petter Lindstrom, wrote a letter to Rossellini expressing her admiration for his work and her desire to make a film with him. This correspondence led to Bergman's starring role in Stromboli, 1950, directed by Rossellini. During the production of the film, their professional relationship blossomed into a romantic affair, a development that would have profound personal and professional repercussions. The affair became public knowledge when Bergman became pregnant with Rossellini's child. In an era when Hollywood's moral code was strictly enforced and the personal lives of its stars were subject to public scrutiny, the revelation of their relationship was scandalous. Bergman, who had been revered as a symbol of grace and virtue, was now vilified in the press, condemned by the public, and even denounced on the floor of the United States Senate for immoral conduct. The birth of their son, Renato Roberto Giusto Giuseppe Rossellini, in 1950, and later the twins Isabella and Ingrid Rossellini, only intensified the scandal. Bergman's marriage to Lindstrom ended in divorce, and she married Rossellini in 1950. However, the damage to her public image was significant. Bergman was forced to leave Hollywood and would not return to the American screen for several years. The relationship between Bergman and Rossellini and the birth of their children marked a significant moment in Hollywood history. It challenged the industry's and society's expectations of female stars, highlighting the double standards applied to women's personal and professional lives. Bergman's career, although temporarily derailed, eventually recovered. She went on to win 2 more Academy Awards, proving that talent could overcome scandal. The children of Bergman and Rossellini grew up in the shadow of this controversy, but carved out their own paths. Isabella Rossellini became a successful actress and model, while Ingrid Rossellini pursued a career in academia. Renato Rossellini, though less in the public eye, also made his mark away from the glare of the scandal that had surrounded his birth. The rock and roll era. The affair between Eddie Fisher and Elizabeth Taylor is one of Hollywood's most notorious scandals, emblematic of the changing social mores and the increasing scrutiny of celebrity personal lives in the post-war era. Fisher, a popular singer, and Taylor, a film star of unparalleled beauty and talent, found themselves at the center of a media storm that would have lasting repercussions on their careers and personal lives, particularly impacting Fisher's family with Debbie Reynolds. Eddie Fisher and Debbie Reynolds were America's sweethearts, their marriage seemingly a fairy tale union of two beloved entertainers. They had two children, Carrie and Todd Fisher, completing the picture of domestic bliss. However, the stability of their marriage was shattered by Fisher's affair with Elizabeth Taylor, who was then the widow of Fisher's best friend, Mike Todd. The affair not only ended Fisher's marriage to Reynolds, but also ignited a public scandal that dominated headlines and captivated the American public. The impact of the affair on Fisher's children with Reynolds was profound and multifaceted. Carrie Fisher, who would later achieve fame as an actress, writer, and Hollywood icon in her own right, spoke openly about the pain and confusion the scandal caused her as a child. The very public nature of her parents' divorce and her father's subsequent marriage to Taylor placed Carrie and her brother Todd in an unwelcome spotlight, subjecting them to public scrutiny and media speculation at a young age. The affair and its fallout marked a significant moment in the evolution of celebrity culture. It highlighted the growing power of the media to shape public perceptions of stars and underscored the vulnerability of celebrity marriages to public and press intrusion. Fisher's career suffered in the aftermath of the scandal, with his public image tarnished by his role in the breakup of his marriage to Reynolds. Taylor, on the other hand, continued to thrive professionally, her career seemingly impervious to the scandal, though she faced public censure for her role in the affair. The relationship between Fisher and Taylor was short-lived, ending in divorce in 1964. However, the legacy of their affair lingered, affecting the personal dynamics within their blended family for years to come. Carrie Fisher's relationship with her father was strained, a theme she would explore in her writing and interviews, offering insight into the complex nature of familial bonds in the aftermath of public scandal. The Golden Age's hidden stories. Spencer Tracy's career spanned over 3 decades, during which he became one of Hollywood's most respected actors. His on-screen chemistry with Katharine Hepburn, with whom he made 9 films, is legendary. Off-screen, Tracy's life was intensely private, marked by struggles with alcoholism and a complex relationship with Hepburn that was both a profound partnership and a source of endless speculation. Tracy was married to Louise Treadwell, and together they had 2 children, John and Susie. However, his relationship with Hepburn, which began after his marriage, was an open secret in Hollywood. Despite never divorcing Treadwell, Tracy and Hepburn maintained a relationship until his death in 1967. The nature of their relationship, conducted away from the public eye, has been the subject of much discussion, with many admirers and biographers noting the depth of their connection and the sacrifices both made to maintain it. Regarding the speculation surrounding Tracy's private life and the possibility of children born out of wedlock, it's crucial to approach this topic with caution. Unlike other Hollywood figures whose personal lives became public through revelations or acknowledgments, Tracy's story remains shrouded in the privacy he so fiercely protected. There are no confirmed accounts of children born outside his marriage to Treadwell, and much of what is speculated comes from a place of rumor rather than documented fact. The culture of Hollywood's golden age played a significant role in shaping the narratives around its stars. The studio system, with its emphasis on controlling the public images of its actors, often led to a dissonance between the public personas and private lives of its biggest names. Tracy, like many of his contemporaries, navigated this divide, maintaining a level of privacy that has left many aspects of his life open to interpretation and speculation. Scandals behind the silver screen. Ava Gardner and Frank Sinatra's relationship was the stuff of Hollywood legend, a union that combined beauty, talent, and tumult in equal measure. Gardner, known for her stunning looks and formidable acting prowess, and Sinatra, a singer of unparalleled talent whose career was experiencing a downturn when they first became involved, were both massive stars in their own right. Their relationship began in the late 1940s and quickly became one of the most talked-about romances of the era. The pressures facing stars of Hollywood's golden age were immense. The studio system exerted significant control over actors' careers and personal lives, often dictating not just the roles they played, but whom they were seen with and how they conducted their private affairs. For Gardner and Sinatra, this meant their relationship was subject to intense scrutiny, not just from studio heads, but from the public and the press. Rumors of a pregnancy emerged at a time when both Gardner and Sinatra were under considerable public attention. Gardner's marriage to Sinatra, her third and his second, was marked by passionate highs and devastating lows, with both parties' careers and personal demons often clashing. The rumored pregnancy has been a point of speculation for biographers and fans alike, seen as a potential turning point in their tumultuous relationship. However, without concrete evidence or confirmation from Gardner or Sinatra themselves, the story remains part of the larger narrative of their storied romance. The impact of such speculation on Gardner in particular highlights the double standards and gendered expectations placed on women in Hollywood. While male stars often faced less criticism for their romantic entanglements, women were scrutinized and judged more harshly. Gardner, already known for her independent spirit and resistance to the studio system's attempts to control her, would have been acutely aware of the potential fallout from any confirmation of a pregnancy outside of marriage, even within the context of her marriage to Sinatra. Their relationship and the rumored pregnancy must be understood within the context of the time. The early 1950s were a period of transition in Hollywood, with the studio system beginning to decline and the rise of tabloid journalism. The personal lives of stars became fodder for public consumption in a way that had not been seen before, with Gardner and Sinatra among the first to experience the full force of this new celebrity culture. Love, secrecy, and legacy. Leslie Howard's contribution to the golden age of cinema is undeniable. His performances, characterized by a blend of charisma and elegance, left an indelible mark on Hollywood and the international film community. However, Howard's life off-screen was as compelling as his on-screen personas, marked by his involvement in the political and social upheavals of his time, including rumored activities and espionage during World War II. His untimely death in 1943, when the plane he was traveling in was shot down by German forces, added a layer of intrigue and tragedy to his legacy. Ronald Howard, born in 1918, was Leslie Howard's only son with his wife, Ruth Evelyn Martin. Growing up as the son of one of the era's most celebrated actors, Ronald faced the immense challenge of forging his path in the shadow of a towering figure. The expectations set by Leslie Howard's success and the public's fascination with his life and mysterious death were formidable pressures for Ronald. Ronald Howard pursued an acting career, appearing in numerous films and television shows from the 1940s through the 1970s. Perhaps his most notable role was as Sherlock Holmes in the 1954 television series Sherlock Holmes, where he brought the iconic detective to life with a performance that echoed the charm and intelligence his father was known for. Despite this and other successes, Ronald's career did not reach the same heights as his father's, a fact that highlights the difficulties of living up to a legendary legacy. The challenges Ronald faced were not just professional, but personal. Growing up in the aftermath of his father's death, with the accompanying speculation and intrigue surrounding Leslie Howard's wartime activities, Ronald had to navigate a world that was forever changed by loss. The public's enduring interest in Leslie Howard meant that Ronald's achievements were often viewed through the lens of his father's legacy, a comparison that can overshadow individual accomplishments. The new Hollywood movement. Arnold Schwarzenegger's journey from Mr. Universe to Hollywood megastar and then to the Governor of California is a tale of ambition, discipline, and unparalleled public success. However, in 2011, a personal revelation emerged that presented a starkly different narrative, one that highlighted the vulnerabilities even the most controlled public figures face. The disclosure of Schwarzenegger's paternity of Joseph Baena, born to the family's housekeeper, Mildred Patricia Patty Baena, was a moment of profound personal and public reckoning for Schwarzenegger. The revelation came at a time when Schwarzenegger's public image was that of a successful action hero, a dedicated public servant, and a family man. Married to Maria Shriver, a journalist and member of the Kennedy family, Schwarzenegger's personal life was as much a part of his public persona as his professional achievements. The news of his affair and the existence of a son born out of wedlock was a jarring departure from the narrative that had been carefully curated over decades. Joseph Baina's birth in 1997 and the subsequent revelation of his paternity more than a decade later brought to light the complex realities behind Schwarzenegger's public facade. The affair and the secrecy surrounding Joseph's paternity caused a significant media storm, leading to Schwarzenegger and Shriver's separation. This personal crisis unfolded in the public eye, offering a glimpse into the challenges faced by those living under the scrutiny of public attention. For Joseph Baina, the revelation of his paternity was a life-altering moment. Growing up, Baina's resemblance to Schwarzenegger was noticeable, yet the truth of his lineage was not publicly acknowledged until Schwarzenegger's term as governor was coming to an end. The public disclosure thrust Baina into the spotlight, a position that comes with its own set of challenges and opportunities. Despite the initial controversy, Schwarzenegger took responsibility for his actions and has since been an active part of Baina's life. Baina has navigated his path with a notable grace, pursuing his education and showing a keen interest in bodybuilding, echoing his father's own beginnings. His relationship with Schwarzenegger has grown stronger over the years, with the two often seen sharing moments of their lives on social media, from gym workouts to celebrating graduations. From extramarital affairs to pure undiluted lust on set, some of the stars of Hollywood's golden age just couldn't help their attraction. But following your passions has its own consequences, and for these stars, a love child they were not expecting was the result of their trysts. The response to having love children differed between these talented stars. As a matter of fact, some kept it so much a secret that you'd be shocked when you find out the truth. Michael Lindsay-Hogg. It is possible to hide an affair from the world, but the one thing that cannot be hidden is the striking resemblance between a child and his parents. Perhaps this was the reason why, no matter how much his mother denied it, Michael Lindsay-Hogg believed that his father was not the man he grew up with. He had a gut feeling that his father was an actor he had seen a couple of times. If you have ever come across the mind-blowing artistic works of Michael Lindsay-Hogg, you'll know that he is an embodiment of rare talent. Whether he is behind the scenes of films, theater, or music videos, he is the kind of director who stands out. But what if I told you that he probably got his creative abilities from his mother, Geraldine Fitzgerald, who was a talented old Hollywood actress? But that's not all. The man he suspected to be his father was none other than the legendary actor and director, Orson Welles. So, this leaves us with the question, why did Michael grow up believing that he was fathered by the famous actor? Well, let's go back to how it all started. In the 1930s, Michael's mother, Geraldine Fitzgerald, was a well-known actress. She was one of the actresses who captivated audiences at the time through her roles in films like Dark Victory and Poltergeist. Because she was famous, everyone knew she was married to Sir Edward Lindsay-Hogg. However, it was later rumored that she got into a brief affair with Orson Welles, who was married to Virginia Nicholson at the time. It was said that they were so attracted to each other that they moved their families to the same neighborhood so that they would be able to see each other often. This steamy affair allegedly led to the birth of Michael Lindsay-Hogg. Because the families lived close to each other, Michael grew up alongside his alleged half-sister, Christopher Wells Feeder. It will amaze you to know that Christopher once said that she always felt a sibling connection with Michael, but she could never explain why. When Michael began to suspect that Orson Welles was his biological father, he approached his mother, but she denied over and over again. Despite the fact that she denied the rumors, Michael saw through her and believed that she wasn't telling the truth. Although she took this secret to her grave, Michael was hell-bent on finding answers no matter how difficult it was. When he got older, he made up his mind to find the truth once and for all. He would later take a DNA test, and while some reports claimed that the test confirmed Olsen was his father, other reports claimed that it was inconclusive. But perhaps the words of his mother's trusted friend, Gloria Vanderbilt, gave him the closure he needed. Gloria confirmed to Michael that Olsen was indeed his biological father. One can only imagine the confusion and uncertainty young Michael nursed while growing up. It's good to know that he finally has some closure about the issue. Although his past was undoubtedly tumultuous and his parentage was undoubtedly complicated, Michael has grown to be a talented man. Michael Lindsay-Hogg, he is not like any other director you have seen before. You name it, he's done it. Film, TV, music videos, you name it. Remember the Beatles' rooftop concert in Let It Be? Yep, he captured that magic. And those iconic Beatles promo videos for Hey Jude and Revolution, his genius at work. But it's not just the Beatles. He's rocked with the Rolling Stones and jammed with Elton John, directing some seriously cool music videos. On the small screen, he's dipped his toes into classics like Brideshead Revisited and brought a touch of class to The Equalizer. And let's not forget his work in film, from the intriguingly titled Nasty Habits to the suspenseful The Sound of Murder. He's like the ultimate directorial all-rounder, spinning his magic across the entertainment universe for decades. This love child has grown to be a man who has fought to make his dreams come true. Judy Lewis. In an industry where everyone seems to know everyone's secret, the paternity of young Judy Lewis became a source of whispers and gossip. There was no denying that she looked like the then famous actor Clark Gable, but she grew up believing that she was an adopted child. It all started when Gable and Loretta's parts crossed amidst the dazzling lights and opulent sets. Initially, they were just colleagues, but as time went on, they began to fall for each other. Clark Gable, the dashing king of Hollywood, and Loretta Young, the enchanting leading lady, could no longer hide how they felt about each other. Their on-screen chemistry was palpable, but it was behind closed doors where their passion truly ignited, away from the watchful eyes of studio executives and gossip columnists. Amidst the breathtaking landscapes of film sets, their affair flourished, defying the moral codes and societal norms of the time. Loretta, with her starry eyes and porcelain beauty, found herself swept away by Gable's charm. Considering her reputation, no one would have thought that Loretta Young would find herself entangled with Clark Gable. Loretta Young was widely regarded as a woman of strong moral character throughout her career in Hollywood. She was known for her grace, poise, and dedication to her craft. Young was often praised for her professionalism and integrity, both on and off the screen. She maintained a wholesome image and was perceived as a role model for many, particularly during the more conservative era of Hollywood. One can say she was a morally upright individual. Clark Gable, on the other hand, didn't have a spotless reputation. His reputation is a bit more complex. While he was undoubtedly one of the most charismatic and talented actors of his time, Gable was also known for his somewhat tumultuous personal life. He had multiple marriages and was rumored to have engaged in extramarital affairs. Despite this, Gable maintained a strong work ethic and was respected for his dedication to his craft. However, his personal life often overshadowed his professional achievements, leading to a more mixed perception of his morality compared to Loretta Young. Although they probably intended to keep their affair a secret forever, something happened that brought their secret love to light. This was the birth of their live child, Judy Lewis. Judy's existence remained hidden from the scrutinizing gaze of an industry built on illusions and perfection. Loretta, determined to protect her child from judgment, went to great lengths to conceal the truth, confiding only in the inner circles of Hollywood's elite. But as time went on, people began to notice. They could hide their affair, but the one thing they couldn't hide was the resemblance between Judy and her father, Clark Gable. But in order to keep their secret hidden, Loretta Young told her child that she was adopted. It was when Judy was 15 years old that she met her father for the first time. He came over to Loretta Young's house, but there was no discussion about whether or not Gable was her father. Judy grew up believing that she was indeed adopted and tried to ignore the rumors about her paternity. Yet, as fate would have it, secrets have a way of surfacing. The revelation of Judy Lewis as the love child of Clark Gable and Loretta Young rocked the very foundation of Hollywood glamour. It was said that Judy found out that the famous actor was indeed her father, and not just her mother's friend on her wedding day. Judy, who was 31 years old at that time, confronted her mother and demanded nothing but the truth on her wedding day. Her mother, filled with emotions and regret, finally revealed the truth to her daughter. Judy, now a young woman, unveiled the long-guarded secret. As expected, the revelation sparked a media frenzy, casting a shadow on the shining reputation of one of Hollywood's most iconic leading men. She would later write an autobiography called Uncommon Knowledge, confirming that she was indeed Clark Gable's child. Roberto Ingmar Rossellini. For several years, Ingrid Bergman made a name for herself as an iconic movie star. She started her career with German and Swedish films, and it wasn't long before Hollywood noticed her. But just when she transitioned into Hollywood and started making waves, she fell in love with a director and began a secret love affair. Ingrid Bergman was a phenomenal actress who was gracing screens for the most part of the late 1930s. Not only was she known for her mind-blowing performances, but filmmakers who worked with her testified that she was a highly talented actress who was willing to go above and beyond to bring her roles to life. Her career skyrocketed in the year 1936 when she played a lead role in the film Intermezzo. She would later appear in Intermezzo, a Love Story, which was her first acting role in the U.S. However, her life took an unexpected turn when she met a director called Roberto Rossellini in the mid-1940s. Following a letter she wrote him, he came to visit her in her home in the United States, and before she knew it, she began to have feelings for him. Interestingly, Ingrid was married to her first husband, Peter Lindstrom, at the time, and they had a daughter together. So, exploring the spark between her and the director would automatically be a taboo. What made it even worse was the fact that they were both married and had feelings for each other at a time when morals and family values were a big deal. It wasn't long before the pair decided to damn the consequences and fully explore the feelings they had for each other. Initially, they were able to hide their affair, but after a while, people began to notice. What made the whole thing even more shocking was that Ingrid had the reputation of a saint. She was one of the few actresses who didn't do cosmetic enhancements and was always praised for her naturalness. She only posed for decent pictures and made sure she didn't soil her reputation. When the news of her affair began circulating in the tabloids, people were beyond shocked. She was condemned by religious bodies, political bodies, and even people once called fans. She was no longer given roles because filmmakers were afraid that her presence in a film would lead to a ban. She was called an adulterous woman, and all kinds of mean things were said about her. But despite all the condemnation, Ingrid and Rossellini's affair only waxed stronger. The director would later divorce his wife for Ingrid, but Ingrid's attempts to leave her husband led to a messy legal battle. Her husband didn't let her go without putting up a fight. Soon enough, she got pregnant and gave birth to their first child in a hospital in Rome on the 2nd of February 1950. They were still unmarried at the time. Back in the day, it was like an abomination for a child to be born out of wedlock, so studios and movie stars did their best to hide love children, but Ingrid and Rossellini decided not to hide any longer. Sadly, this child, who was supposed to mark the beginning of a new chapter in their lives, actually led to an international uproar. It was said that U.S. Senator Edwin C. denounced the actress on the floor of the Senate and called her a disgrace to American womanhood. As if this was not enough, her home country also condemned her actions, highlighting that she disgraced her country. Just like that, this actress, who was once loved and admired, became hated all over the world. Despite all these, Ingrid loved her child, and shortly after, she got married to Roberto Rossellini. Their first son, who is now in his 70s, was said to have worked as an Italian real estate investor and a stockbroker when he was younger. Jack Nicholson. It is nearly impossible to be a fan of Hollywood movies and not come across at least one Jack Nicholson film. This is a cinematic legend whose contributions to film have left an indelible impact on audiences worldwide. There is no denying performances, memorable characters, and unparalleled talent have solidified his place in cinematic history. But what a lot of people may not know is that Jack Nicholson is also a love child. He grew up believing that his mother June was his sister, and that his grandmother Ethel May was his biological mother because of a difficult decision that his mother had to make when he was a baby. But how did this happen? What made Jack Nicholson believe that his mother was his sister? It all began in April 1937 when Jack Nicholson came into this world, but his beginnings were far from ordinary. His father, Donald Fursillo, was already married when he fell in love with a young girl and got her pregnant. Clearly, being involved with a girl who was way younger than him was forbidden, and making it public was only going to get him into trouble. But Donald Fursillo couldn't hide his feelings for this girl, and he wanted to step up and do the right thing, so he decided that he was going to marry her. He set the plan in motion and tied the knot with 17-year-old showgirl June "Dink" Nicholson. But it was only when she said, "I do," that she found out that this Italian-American showman, Donald Fursillo, was keeping a big secret. Immediately, their fresh union was entangled by controversy, taboos, secrets, and lies, because not only was June underage, but Donald already had a wife. Despite this, Don really wanted to take responsibility for his child, and he didn't want June to raise Jack alone. Although Donald's intentions seemed pure, June didn't buy the idea. As soon as she found out that he was already married, she started looking for other ways to ensure that her child was well taken care of. As a young girl who was trying to make ends meet, she knew for a fact that she wouldn't be able to cater to the needs of her child, so she decided to make a difficult decision, which was sending Jack to live with her own parents instead. Because he began living with his grandparents at an early age, Jack grew up believing that his grandparents, Ethel and John Nicholson, were his parents. No matter how tempting it was, his mother never told him the truth about his biological parents. She treated him like a brother, even on days when she was yearning to play the role of a mother. It wasn't until he was 37 years old in 1974 that he discovered the truth. Imagine finding out at that age that the people you thought were your parents were actually your grandparents. It must have been a shock, but the surprises in Jack's life didn't end there. He had quite a colorful romantic life himself. He was married to Sandra Knight in the 1960s, and they had a daughter named Jennifer. But Jack's relationships weren't always conventional. He had affairs, one of which resulted in a daughter named Honey Holman. Honey was born during his 17-year relationship with actress Anjelica Huston. Imagine the complexities of growing up in such a situation. Jack also had another daughter named Lorraine from another affair during his relationship with Anjelica. Her mother was Rebecca Broussard, who was actually an actress in one of Jack's films, The Two Jakes. Talk about drama both on and off the screen. And the surprises don't stop there. Actress Susan Anspach even claimed that Jack Nicholson might be the father of her son, Caleb Goddard. It seems like Jack's life was just as dramatic and intriguing as the movies he starred in. But despite his issues about his parentage, Jack Nicholson didn't allow himself to become a victim of his past. Over the years, he healed from whatever trauma the situation may have caused him and went on to create an amazing career. Today, Jack Nicholson is known as a renowned American actor, filmmaker, and producer who has left an indelible mark on the world of cinema. Nicholson's career spans several decades, and he is celebrated for his versatility, intensity, and iconic performances across a wide range of genres. He is perhaps best known for his captivating portrayals of complex and morally ambiguous characters. One of his most iconic roles came in the 1975 film One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, where he played the rebellious and charismatic Randall McMurphy, a patient in a mental institution. This performance earned Nicholson his first Academy Award for Best Actor, solidifying his status as one of the greatest actors of his generation. But he didn't stop there. He kept on pouring into his craft and creating in a mind-blowing way. Another landmark role for Nicholson was in Stanley Kubrick's 1980 horror classic The Shining, where he delivered a chilling and unforgettable performance as Jack Torrance, a writer driven to madness while serving as the winter caretaker of the haunted Overlook Hotel. Throughout his illustrious career, Nicholson has showcased his remarkable range in films such as Chinatown, Terms of Endearment, Batman, As Good as It Gets, and About Schmidt, among many others. Isn't it amazing that Jack Nicholson became everything he ever dreamed of becoming and never allowed his past to dictate his future? From his unconventional parentage to his colorful romantic life, Jack's story is one that keeps people captivated. Who would have thought that behind that iconic smile lay such a fascinating tale? Allegra Huston. If you asked young Allegra Huston who her dad was, she would tell you that he was none other than the famous director, John Huston. Why? Because for as long as she could remember, he was the man she called Dad. But as she grew older, she became uncertain and began to wonder if Huston was really her father. Born on the 26th of August, 1964, Allegra was the product of an affair her mother Enrica had with John Julius Norwich, the Viscount of Norwich. However, Allegra grew up believing that she was the daughter of the famous film director John Huston. Growing up, Allegra had no doubt that John Huston was her biological father. She was raised in a world where she thought she was part of his family, with siblings who shared the same name. But her life took a surprising turn when she discovered the truth about her parentage. It wasn't until later in life that Allegra learned about her true biological father and the circumstances surrounding her birth. Her mother, Enrica, was married to John Huston for several years, but in the early 1960s, they had a major marital problem, and they became estranged. It was during this period that Enrica began an affair with John Norwich. Their affair would later lead to her getting pregnant and giving birth to Allegra. Tragically, her mother, Enrica, passed away in a car accident in 1969, and Allegra was only 4 years old at the time. Despite the loss, John Huston stepped in and raised Allegra as his own daughter, showing immense love and devotion. A lot of people were shocked that he raised someone else's child like his old child. Imagine the emotions Allegra must have felt when she discovered the truth. How did she react? How did she come to terms with having two fathers and two sets of siblings? These are questions that likely ran through her mind as she navigated this complex family dynamic. Allegra eventually found solace in writing her autobiography, Love Child, a memoir of family lost and found. In this memoir, she didn't hold back as she delved into her unique upbringing, exploring the complexities of her identity as both American and English, and the challenges she faced growing up with this secret. But Allegra has not allowed her past to define her. She is now a successful writer, carving her own path in the world of literature. Despite the challenges she faced, she has embraced her past while building a fulfilling future of her own. Giovanni Jackson, Daddy's Girl. Jonathan Berkeley. Some know Tom Jones as that respected judge on The Voice UK with a seasoned voice, while others know him by his accomplishments in the industry. The Welsh singer is no doubt one of the most phenomenal singers Hollywood has ever produced. With a career that has spanned decades, the singer was known to have a string of top 10 hits in the 1960s and has successfully sold over 100 million records over the years. While his accomplishments are undoubtedly impressive, there is a side of Tom Jones's life that most people find daunting. Beyond the fame and his many accomplishments as a singer, Jones spent most of his early years in Hollywood doing things that a married man should not be seen doing. His many affairs with several women left his wife broken-hearted, and one of the affairs resulted in a son, Jonathan Berkeley. Tom Jones married high school love Linda Trenchard in the 1950s, before his career took off. Although they were madly in love with each other, nothing prepared them for the challenges that would unfold in their marriage. The first few years of their marriage seemed normal until Jones became a successful singer, and the rumors about his infidelity began to circulate. Interestingly, Tom Jones didn't deny the rumors, as he claimed to have had affairs with over 250 women in a single year when his career was at its peak. It seems like his fame came with a lot of attention from women, and he was unable to control himself. The singer even had affairs with famous American women, some of whom he named later on in life. His deeds left his wife devastated, and soon enough, he got into an affair that came with consequences. While the singer was on tour in the U.S., he began an affair with a model named Catherine Berkeley. He probably thought it was going to be like one of his numerous affairs, but soon enough, Catherine Berkeley got pregnant. When he was informed about the pregnancy, he denied it, claiming that he didn't get her pregnant. Despite his refusal to take responsibility, Catherine was convinced that he was the father of her child. Tom Jones continued to ignore her as he believed that she was lying against him. Catherine Berkeley would later take the matter to court, and after a legal battle, Tom Jones was ordered to take a DNA test in 1989. After the test, the court ruled that Jones was the father of the boy. The court also ordered him to pay child support of $3,000 a month for the child's upkeep. But despite the court's verdict, Jones continued to deny the boy until 2008, when he finally admitted that he was the father of the boy. However, he said that he was coerced into the affair, claiming that Catherine Berkeley deceived him. In a later interview, he said, "It wasn't something I had planned. I was tricked, really. I just fell for it. I just fell for the seduction." It is said that he doesn't have a parental relationship with his son, who is now in his 30s. Eric Preminger, A Vow of Silence. Back in the 1940s, Gypsy Rose Lee was a name that was known all over Hollywood for many reasons. One of these reasons was the fact that she had an affair with a famous producer, which led to the birth of a love child named Eric. But before her life got complicated, she was a young woman who liked to live life on the edge. Gypsy wasn't just an actress and playwright. She had gone ahead to carve her own path through her famous striptease act. Gypsy considered herself to be an exotic stripper, and she usually found ways to make her act more interesting. She was also famous for her on-stage wit and stripping style. She would go on to become one of the most famous stars of Minsky's burlesque, but dancing was not all she did. In the 1930s, she was focused on growing her acting career, but only got to appear in 5 films. Although she was highly ambitious, she didn't get much success on screen, so she decided to relocate to New York City with plans to hone her skills and hopefully improve her career. On getting there, she got into an affair with the then-famous producer Mike Todd. It was said that Mike Todd was married to Bertha Freshman at the time. The affair would later lead to collaboration as the pair co-produced the 1942 musical revue, Star and Garter. It was during this period that she met Williams Alexander Kirkland. Kirkland was a leading man in Hollywood, particularly during the early sound era. In the early years of his career, he worked as a freelance writer and was said to be one of the writers who contributed to some popular national magazines. He garnered most of his fame through his acting career, appearing as a leading in Tarnished Lady and entertaining his audiences through movies like Social Register. He was still making waves as an actor when he met Gypsy. The pair got married in 1942, but their union didn't last long. While Gypsy was married to Kirkland, she got into an affair with the then famous film producer, Otto Preminger. It was said that Otto Preminger's marriage to his wife Marion was shaky at the time. He was still married, but living like a bachelor. When he and Gypsy got into an affair, they intended to keep it a secret, but their affair didn't stay hidden for long. When Gypsy got pregnant, she knew she had to find a way to hide what she had done so that her husband would not find out. So, when Otto Preminger offered to take care of the child, she refused. His silence was far more valuable to her than any amount of money he was offering, so she elicited a vow of silence, pleading with Preminger to keep the secret between them. When she gave birth to the child, she named him Eric Kirkland, and her husband believed he was the father of the child. However, the truth eventually came out, and this led to the end of her marriage to Kirkland. Damien Charles Hurley. In the early 1980s, 18-year-old Steve Bing was given an inheritance that automatically made him wealthier than most celebrities at the time. He inherited over $600 million from his grandfather, who was a real estate developer, and went on to become one of the most successful film producers in Hollywood in the following years. But despite all the wealth he amassed, he rejected a son that he fathered with an actress, claiming that he was not the father of the child. Although he was wealthy, Bing was the kind of man who only channeled his resources to ventures and things that he considered important or profitable, and when it came to his personal life, many people questioned his personal choices. In the entertainment industry, he made waves through his company, Shangri-La Entertainment. He is also said to have invested in the successful animated film called The Polar Express. Bing also produced films like Last Man Standing, and it was clear that made smart investment choices in the industry. However, when he was not being a financier or working as a producer in the industry, he was settling his personal issues. Of all the scandals that circulated about the producer, denying the paternity of his child was the most shocking. In 2001, the producer got into a relationship with actress Elizabeth Hurley, and this relationship led to her getting pregnant. From every indication, Bing wanted nothing to do with the child, so he told Elizabeth to terminate the pregnancy. The actress refused and decided to keep the baby, hoping that Bing would come around. When the baby was born, Bing denied paternity, claiming that he and Elizabeth had an 18-month-long relationship that was not exclusive. He believed that she was not faithful to him while they were dating, so he doubted that the child was his. Elizabeth was sure that Bing was the father of her child, so she decided to do a DNA test to prove that he was the father of her son, Damien Charles Hurley. Interestingly, the test proved that Bing was indeed the father of the child, and this was when the producer decided to pay child support. He offered to pay 100,000 euros every year till the child turned 18 years old. But to his greatest surprise, Elizabeth refused his offer. She claimed that her and her son were doing just fine and that they didn't need his money. She also revealed that she was deeply hurt by the fact that Bing claimed that she had other lovers while they were dating. She also expressed the fact that Damien, her son, was her greatest blessing and that he made her life brighter and more beautiful. When asked the reason why she turned down the offer, she said, "I have always made it perfectly clear to Stephen Bing, the father of my son Damien, that I don't want any financial help from him whatsoever." Ruth Clapton, a blessing in disguise. It all started when Eric Clapton fell madly in love with his best friend's wife. This forbidden love would lead to several events that nobody saw coming. Known as one of the most phenomenal guitarists in rock music, Eric Clapton played in some local bands before forming his own rock and roll band with drummer Ginger Baker. He later released several successful albums and songs in the 1970s, and while all these were happening, he found himself falling for his best friend's wife. Eric Clapton and George Harrison got close in the 60s, and their bond grew every day. The duo spent a lot of time together, writing and recording music. Little did George know that a betrayal was lurking in the background. As time went on, Eric fell deeply in love with his best friend's wife, Pattie Boyd. Interestingly, it was said that he didn't hide how he felt, and he made it clear that he wanted her to himself. In the mid-1970s, it was said that Patty Boyd divorced her husband and married Eric Clapton. Although this seemed like a dream come true for Eric Clapton, he soon began to do things that didn't reflect how much he claimed to love Patty Boyd. In the course of their marriage, Clapton's alcohol addiction got the best of him, and he became a shadow of himself. As a result of this, he treated Patty badly and was said to have been involved in multiple affairs. Sadly, while he was doing all this, he and Patty were struggling to have children. Despite trying IVF, all their efforts were unsuccessful, and Patty had several miscarriages. In the early 1980s, Clapton would begin yet another affair, but this time, it led to a pregnancy. The affair began when he was recording Behind the Sun. He met and began a relationship with a lady named Yvonne Kelly, who was the manager of a studio at the time. Shortly after, she got pregnant and had their daughter, Ruth Clapton, in 1985. Because they were both married at the time, they had to keep it a secret from their respective spouses. Patty Boyd later found out and she was utterly devastated, but despite the damage this did to their union, Clapton didn't stop. He went on to have yet another affair with an Italian model named Lori Del Santo. This affair also led to the birth of yet another love child named Connor. Patty Boyd would later reveal how she felt when she found out about the affair and the child. She claimed that Clapton expected a different reaction from her. In her words, "Because he loved me, he believed I would be pleased and happy for him that he had a baby. It was as if I was his best friend that he could tell me everything without realizing how deeply painful this was for me." The couple later went their separate ways, and Clapton is said to have maintained a good relationship with his children. Sadly, Connor passed away when he was only 4 years old. Abby Jason, a 52-year-old secret. Many people know Sir David Jason for his portrayal of the unforgettable Derek Del Boy Trotter in the British sitcom Only Fools and Horses, but very few people know about his personal life and the fact that he recently discovered that he fathered a child from a previous relationship. The actor's career has been undoubtedly phenomenal, and he has made a mark in Hollywood through his roles in several films and series. However, Sir David's journey to fame and recognition was not without its surprises, particularly in matters of family. Amidst his illustrious career, which began to take shape in the 1970s, Sir David found himself entwined in a brief but significant relationship with actress Jennifer Hill. Little did he know that this brief relationship would lead to the birth of his child. During this time, as Sir David was still forging his path in the entertainment industry, his personal life intersected with unexpected twists and turns. One such twist came in the form of a love child, Abby Harris, born in 1970 as a result of his relationship with Jennifer Hill. It was said that the actress, Jennifer Hill, didn't tell Sir David that he was the father of the child. He moved on with his life and got into several other relationships. For over 5 decades, the existence of Abby remained a hidden chapter in Sir David's life, unknown to him and his family. It wasn't until the year 2022, a staggering 52 years later, that the truth finally came to light. The revelation of Abby's existence came as a profound shock to Sir David, a moment he described as an understatement to capture the sheer magnitude of the surprise. However, in this unexpected revelation, Sir David and his family responded with grace and warmth. Embracing Abby and her son Charlie, they welcomed them into their lives with open arms, bridging the length of years that had separated them. The joy of newfound connection outweighed any sense of disbelief or astonishment as Sir David expressed his heartfelt sentiments to the Mirror. Before this revelation, Sir David had already experienced the joys of fatherhood in 2001, when his girlfriend Gil Hinchcliffe gave birth to their daughter. Their relationship blossomed further, culminating in marriage in 2005, and they settled in Ellsborough, Buckinghamshire, building a life together. Wyatt Russell, Love Without Bounds. If there is one Hollywood actor who has always been unapologetic about his views and beliefs, it's Kurt Russell. This is why he saw nothing wrong with having a child with his then-girlfriend, Goldie Hawn. Back then, society frowned upon having children out of wedlock, and the fact that Kurt and his girlfriend were both in the limelight at the time got people talking about their private life. Their love story began after Kurt's divorce from Susan Hubley in 1983. Kurt, having starred alongside Goldie in movies like Swing Shift and Overboard, found a deep connection with the actress that went beyond professional chemistry. Their relationship blossomed over the years, despite never walking down the aisle. Kurt and Goldie's relationship was rock solid. In the mid-1980s, their lives changed when Goldie found out that she was pregnant. This new addition changed their lives forever, and their son, Wyatt Russell, was born on July 10, 1986. Despite being born out of wedlock, Wyatt was welcomed into a loving family that transcended traditional norms. Kurt and Goldie's decision not to marry was a conscious one. In a candid interview with People magazine in December 2020, Kurt expressed that they never felt the need for a marriage certificate to validate their relationship. He eloquently stated that a piece of paper wouldn't create anything they didn't already have. As someone who was married before, he believed that he didn't need to get a piece of paper to solidify what he had with Han. He believed that what they shared was strong and worth fighting for. Their unconventional yet enduring love story has stood the test of time, as they both worked on growing their careers. Their commitment to each other and their family goes beyond societal expectations, proving that love knows no bounds, not even the bounds of marriage. Interestingly, their son Kurt is following their footsteps and building his career as an actor. Wyatt Russell, born into a family that defied conventional norms, has charted his own unique path in Hollywood, paralleling the non-traditional approach his parents took. From his early days, Wyatt was immersed in an environment that valued personal choice and creative freedom over societal expectations. Initially pursuing a career in hockey, Wyatt played professionally in Europe and North America until injuries led him to retire from the sport. This shift in career paths opened a new door for Wyatt into the acting world, a domain both his parents had excelled in. As an actor, Wyatt Russell has brought a distinct presence to the screen, characterized by an authenticity and charisma that seem to echo his upbringing. His transition from sports to acting wasn't just a change in profession, but a continuation of the storytelling legacy of his family. Wyatt's roles, such as his portrayal of John Walker in The Falcon and The Winter Soldier, showcase his ability to navigate complex characters, often imbuing them with a nuanced vulnerability. His performance in this series was particularly lauded for adding depth to a controversial character, reflecting Wyatt's skill in embracing and interpreting challenging roles. This ability to connect with diverse roles speaks to his upbringing in a family that embraced differences and encouraged expression beyond traditional frameworks. Dina Norris, her father's love. Chuck Norris, the well-known actor and screenwriter, grew his career to a point where he became well-respected. However, along the line, he cheated on his wife and fathered a daughter, but he didn't know about his love child until she wrote him a letter in 1991. But before we get into the full story about the affair, let's go back to the very beginning. When Chuck Connors was in high school, he fell in love with his schoolmate, Diane. The pair would later get married when Chuck was 18 years old. Chuck spent the following years building his career until he and his wife welcomed their first son, Mike, in 1962. It seemed like their marriage was thriving, but Chuck's wife had no idea that her husband would cheat on her the following year. Around that time, the actor worked as a martial artist, training several celebrities in Hollywood. He also went on to appear in several films like An Eye for an Eye and Missing in Action. He became famous in the action film genre and garnered a lot of fame as a result of his performances. However, after several years of building a successful career, a secret that he had kept hidden for several years resurfaced. In the early 1960s, while stationed in California with the U.S. Air Force, he got into an affair with a woman named Johanna. It was later revealed that he never told the woman he was married, and by the time she found out, it was too late. Their affair later came to an end, but Chuck had no idea that this chapter of his life was far from being closed. Johanna got pregnant for him and had the baby, but she didn't tell him about the child until he found out years later. In the early 1990s, Chuck was going about his life when he got a shocking letter from a young woman claiming to be his daughter. Despite her mother's persistent warning not to reach out to Chuck, she desperately wanted to have a relationship with her father, so she decided to reach out. Interestingly, Chuck instantly believed her and arranged to meet with her and her mother. Chuck would later reveal that he didn't need a DNA test to confirm that she was his. He embraced her, and they both wept. In his words, "I didn't need DNA or blood tests." He revealed that in that moment, he felt like he had known her all his life. Since then, he has been an active part of her life and has continued to build the bond between them. It is clear that the actor loves his daughter and is now making up for lost time.